You're watching an exclusive high-definition broadcast of HDNet Fights.
Fedor Emelianenko, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world, returns to the ring against a 7'2", 360-pound giant.
Очень сильный, я бы сказал, они по статусу выше, чем японские бойцы. I'm back.
Fedor Emelianenko versus Hongman Choi on HDNet Fights. Fedor returns.
Готовьтесь к бою.
This is HDNet Fights. Fedor returns.
The countdown is underway to the biggest day of the year in Japan. 2008 is approaching. It is a super day for Japanese and a super sports day as well. Welcome to the Saitama Super Arena. And a super night is expected. As a man who is much a myth and a legend as he is the top fighter in the world, Fedor Emelianenko returns to the ring tonight. Konnichiwa, hello and welcome everyone. Glad that you could be with us live here on HDNet. I'm Kenny Rice, delighted to be working with Frank Trigg. The last time we saw him, he was winning here on HDNet just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad night for me. I kind of first experience with HDNet, and here I am again. Obviously here in Japan, once again on New Year's Eve. For me, it's another great night. It's a huge night in Japan for the fights. To establish yourself as a company, you have to do it on December 31st. This is the night to do it.
Well, as we talked about, this is a huge night for the Japanese, in the Japanese culture, New Year's Eve. And Fedor Emelianenko has embraced this. He has become like Dick Clark and Guy Lombardo to the Pacific Rim. He shows up, he fights on New Year's Eve. Over 20,000 people will be here at the Super Arena.
And you know, when you talk about Fedor, there's one thing you have to remember. Not only is his trip very long, because he has to take a 12-hour train ride just to get to the airport, to fly 23 hours to get here in time. He has to train, get ready for these fights, and he does it so well every time that he does it. Not to mention, he's the #1 ranked guy in the world right now, but he seems to do it from sort of a busboy kind of a stance. He walks out, gets ready for that fight. He doesn't have the ripped abs. He doesn't have the incredible haircut. He doesn't have the chiseled face. He comes out there, looks like a normal, regular guy, a regular blue-collar worker, and he kicks everybody's butt while he's doing it. The amazing thing is it shows that how far the sport has come. You don't have to have this great body and look like you're a fighter to actually be a fighter. And of course, everyone says Fedor's the #1 guy in the world right now. I tend not to agree because I'm biased. I'm friends with Randy Couture. I think Couture is the best heavyweight in the world, but hopefully that's a fight that may happen later.
Well, that leads to an important point right here then, Frank, because he has made such judicious use of his fights. He picks and chooses pretty much whatever Fedor wants to pick and choose. There have been some that have criticized him for that. Has he fought anybody tough? Matt Lindland, obviously his last opponent, moving up 2 weight classes to fight him. Now he comes in here tonight and he is fighting, and this is kind of appropriate considering he is myth-like, this Fedor legend that continues to grow, a Bunyan-esque figure, at least in size, 7'2", well over 300 pounds, Hongman Choi. You wonder about Choi, though, because he comes in as a successful, to an extent, as a kickboxer, but this is only his second professional MMA fight.
A lot of the guys on the boards, you know, MMA was built by the message boards, built by the internet, and if you look at the boards and what the fans are saying, they're saying this is a foregone conclusion that Fedor's going to win. You have to remember, Hongman Choi, not only is Fedor giving a 12-inch reach up, or 12-inch height difference up, he's giving up almost 30 pounds in weight, and remember, Fedor cuts. He slices not easily, but he does cut. In a fight like this, if Hongman Choi gets one of those big knuckles, and they're about, one fist is about this big, he's a guy that can knock you down, get a cut, and finish the fight just off of that reason.
One thing about Hongman Choi, he is so big that if you're sitting in the top row here at the Super Arena, you will still have a good view of him as we take a look at the tail of the tape, and this certainly emphasizes the difference. As Frank mentioned, you look at Fedor, a good-sized man, certainly, the heavyweight champion of the world most people consider. And then you look at Hongman Choi, it is an intriguing matchup nonetheless, and the fans have been anticipating this for months to see Fedor once again here in Japan fighting on New Year's Eve. With us, as always, our man on the scene, Ron Kruk. Ron has more. Ron?
Thanks, Kenny. Although Trigg may disagree, most in the MMA community believe that Fedor Emelianenko is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But a close second, of course, is current UFC champion Randy Couture. Now, since Couture won the belt and successfully defended it, he has said all along that the only fight at this stage in his career that makes sense is one against Fedor. The natural was down in Dallas, Texas at HDNet Fight's second event, Reckless Abandon, and I spoke with him about the possible face-off with Fedor.
If there is a low light, I guess it would be that Fedor signed with another organization, with M1, and made the chance of me being able to fight him and kind of settle the debate on who the #1 heavyweight in the world is a lot tougher. And so that led to me resigning and trying to pursue that fight outside of the UFC.
Last question. It's the question all MMA fans want to know. When can we expect you back in the cage, and will you be fighting for the UFC?
Well, unless the UFC wants to do a co-promotion with M1 and make the Fedor fight happen, I'm going to have to wait till my contract expires. I have no intention of breaching that contract. That expires in July. My employment contract expires with them in October, so I would assume that the soonest you'll see me fight Emelianenko will be in October.
Guys, the UFC has made it clear that they will not do a cross-promotion with any other fighting organization, including M1 Global, which means Couture will have to wait it out with his current UFC contract, which expires in April. What does Fedor think about the possible dream matchup? Well, Kenny, he told me it's not a matter of if it'll happen, it's a matter of when. Guys?
Thanks, Ron. And gee, let's not even think of what if Fedor gets upset tonight. That will just turn the apple cart over and roll it down the hill, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of the things you have to remember. This is still a fight, so anything can happen.
Undercard tonight, several good fights. Mitsuhiro Ishida comes back to the ring tonight. He is going up against Gilbert Melendez. Melendez in the lightweight ranks has just been soaring. He comes in here unbeaten. He continues to look better every fight.
Now, traditionally, Japan runs the gamut when it comes to the 155-pound weight class, which Gilbert Melendez is in. He's 14-0. He's obviously an American, so I'm a little biased when it comes to him fighting anybody else that's not of American descent. Gilbert is amazing. He's got that nonstop power. He loves the wrestling game. He loves his ground-and-pound game. He uses his incredible reach and his cardiovascular system to keep things going. When you're looking at Ishida, it's really going to be two guys. It's going to be almost like two cats fighting because both guys have a lot of energy and they come with a lot of action. I just think Gilbert is by far the better competitor. He's a little bit taller, a little bit stronger, and of course, he's still undefeated. So I want to see him go from 14-0 to 15-0 tonight.
Akiyama also matched up against Misaki, one of the others to look at on this undercard.
Now, Misaki's the guy I fought before. When Pride was still around, I fought Misaki, had a great fight with him. I won that one in a 3-round decision. Akiyama's a guy that literally is hated in the Japanese fighting ranks. People cannot stand this guy. Misaki really didn't want to fight this guy until he beat Dennis Kang a couple months ago. And he said, you know what, I really have to fight him now and kind of test my ranks. And then Akiyama started talking about him poorly in the press. So you're looking at a guy that talks a lot, plus knows how to fight. A guy like Misaki, who's also a great fighter. Akiyama's gotten underneath his skin a little bit. And with this fight, you're going to see a lot of fireworks.
Let's see, Akiyama and Misaki talking about it in the press, getting on each other. It sounds very American of them, doesn't it?
You know what?
Throwing
really
down
does.
the challenge to the press. All right, let's take a look now at the rules here in Japan. Who knows better than Frank? He's fought here before with success.
Now, what we're doing tonight is we're doing a modified, unified rules. The unified rules, the rules you used to see in America, they're modifying a little bit, which I'll get into a little bit more in detail later on tonight. We're doing a 10-minute first round and a 5-minute second round. And the judges will score the entire fight in its entirety as opposed to round and round, which a lot of Americans are used to with that old boxing style of 10-9s. So it's really going to be a little bit different what you're seeing, but it's going to be more action you've seen in a long time, and the way the rules are set, it'll make a lot of sense once this thing gets going forward.
We have a sparkling undercard for you, and of course the man, Fedor Emelianenko, will cap off the night with Hung Man Choi, a very intriguing matchup, as we've already talked about. David and Goliath. In this sense, though, the guy that's 7-2 is really the David. He comes in here anywhere from a 10 to 12-1 underdog. Earlier, Ron Kruk caught up with Fedor, and let's listen in on that interview.
Fedor, you had a very busy 2007, although most of it was outside of the ring. The highlight had to be your signing with the upstart M1 Global. Why did you sign up with that organization?
Да, год еще не
No, 2007 was quite successful for me. Yes, Pride is now gone, and I was not able to participate in the Pride anymore. But after negotiating with several MMA organizations, I decided to sign a contract with M1 Global. And beside that, I became a Russian champion, and also I became a world champion in Samba. So it was quite a successful year for me.
Most people thought that we would see you in the UFC. I know that you spoke with Dana White in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Why did you decide not to go with that organization?
You know, we were negotiating once with UFC. Vadim Feltenstein, my friend and manager, was leading negotiation with UFC, but we couldn't find a common ground with them. The things that either I or Vadim didn't like with UFC was that their top leaders' attitude toward fighters, and looking at the contents of the contract, and we saw that you must be a foolish person to sign such a contract.
There are many free agents out there. Do you have any opponents on your radar that you'd like to get into the ring?
You know, once I was asked when I was fighting on the rings, I was asked the same question, and I answered that I would like to fight with the strongest fighters in the world. And the answer still remains the same. I'd like to fight with the strongest, and I'd like to prove to myself and to the others that I am capable of fighting with the strongest in the world.
I spoke with Randy Couture in Dallas at HDNet Fights, and he said he is willing to sit out until his contract with the UFC expires in April for the chance to fight you. Does that bout interest you?
I respect him very much, and it's going to be a great honor to fight with him, and I also would like to wait for that opportunity.
So you feel that fight will take place?
Yes, I think so. The fight will take place.
You've made all MMA fans very happy with that answer. Hardcore MMA fans know who you are. You're the #1 ranked fighter in the world. But for those who are just starting to look into the sport in the United States, might not have ever seen you fight. Is this a big opportunity on HDNet for the American public to meet Fedor Emelianenko?
Yes, of course, it's a great opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for the American fans to get familiar, get closer with me. And I'd like to also win the American fans, just as I did with Japanese fans.
Fedor, you are preparing for your 5th straight New Year's Eve fight here in Japan. Why do you enjoy fighting in this country so much?
It's kind of getting a tradition for me. And why do I like fighting in Japan? Because I became famous, especially in Japan, after I became a champion in Japan, because the Pride Championship was being held in Japan. And I'm really glad that I'm back in here in Japan again.
Is it almost like a farewell fight? You were the last Pride champion, and now that Zuffa's bought Pride and basically closed the doors, do you feel this is maybe a farewell fight here in Japan?
No, because I am now fighting on behalf of M1 Global, and I look at this fight as a start of new versions, new series of championships.
Fedor, let's talk about your opponent, Hongman Choi. Now, you have faced some of the best in the sport here in Japan on New Year's Eve, but this year, you're going against an unproven fighter, 1-0 Hongman Choi. What interested you in this fight?
He's one of the strongest K1 fighter, and he's quite famous in the world, especially in Asia, and he's a #1 fighter in Korea. And several times he mentioned about fighting with me and beating me and winning over me. So that's why.
Let's talk about strategy, game plan. He's 7'2", probably outweighs you by close to 150 pounds. What is your strategy against Hongman Choi?
Talking about strategy, I probably would try to take him down to the floor, but a lot of parts of the fight might be taking place in the standing. It all depends on how he is gonna fight with me
Will this be a quick fight?
You'll see in the game, in the fight, there's only little time left for you to wait.
Is this a no-win situation type of fight? If you win, you beat a guy with only one professional MMA victory. You're supposed to beat him. If you lose, it's a huge upset. Do you see this as a no-win situation for you?
You know, there's still a lot to gain from winning over Choi Hong-man because he's one of the strongest K1 fighter and one of the strongest standing fighter. And Tim Sylvia once said that Fedor is not going to win over a big fighter. So I'd like to prove my strengths over a fighter like him.
Thank you, Fedor, for your time and honesty.
Thank you.
Less than 4 hours away from ringing in 2008 here in Tokyo, and a packed house at the Saitama Super Arena, and a super arena it is, over 20-some thousand here tonight, primarily to see Fedor Emelianenko make his return to action as we get ready to get this fight night underway. And one of the two Americans on the card tonight getting ready to come out. There he is out of Chicago, Illinois. Mike Russo, 31 years old. 6-1 record coming into this fight.
You know, at 251 pounds, he's not a small heavyweight either. You know, most of the heavyweights in the past, and traditionally now we're starting to see guys like Virgil Krokop comes in around 225. Fedor only weighs in at about 235, 240. A lot of the heavyweights now are getting smaller, more agile. Mike Russo's coming in at 251, and he's still just as agile, even at that bigger weight. I know it doesn't sound like much, but 20 pounds difference at that kind of size, it makes it harder to move that body weight around, and Russo does a great job of it. Hopefully tonight, you know, as the American and opening up the card this evening, he's able to get a very convincing and early victory.
Russo has been a very active fighter in 2007. A 4-1 record this year alone. So obviously he has picked up his pace and intensity in the training and the fighting over the last 12 months.
Well, he knows now that to be, he kind of won his first 4 matches, much of natural athletic ability. He knows now that you really have to train and be a student of the game. To do this really at a full-time level, you have to spend a lot more time training, but also with the training, becomes more of a fight schedule. And he really embraces that. It's amazing for his style. It's such a grueling style that he can keep such a high pace up of competition.
And his opponent, Roman Sentsov, 34-year-old Russian, a 16-11 record. But he has won 7 of his last 8 fights.
He had a very weird loss to Brandon Lee Hinkle. It was a situation where we thought, well, for sure Sentsov's going to win. Brandon Lee kind of was on his game, top of his game 2 or 3 years ago. Really wasn't on top of his game, wasn't ready for that kind of competition, and he proved me wrong by coming out there and he didn't just win, he beat up Sentsov. Sentsov has to prove that, hey, he's not the only guy that comes out of, you know, that Fedor's not the only guy that comes out of the Red Devil team, that he actually is. You know, there are better guys in there than just Fedor. He needs to prove that, hey, I'm a guy that can actually show that the rest of the team is good just as well as Fedor is.
Let's take a look now at the tail of the tape. Russo and Sentsov to get us started here. Sentsov, 3 years older, more experience coming in here to this fight. Russo with the weight advantage. And you wonder also about Russo. This is the biggest stage that he has fought on, Frank, and what it's like for him to step in and all the introductions and the pageantry that's gone along with the night, and now he leads off the fight card.
Well, when Pride Championship was still around, he competed for them in February last year, and he had his first loss, but that was only to a crowd of about 12 or 13,000. When you show up into an arena, you know, as big as Saitama Super Arena with 22,000 people, it's a huge difference. It doesn't sound like much on paper, but it's a huge difference in eyes and in visualness, and of course the pressure of Big New Year's Eve here in Japan is added to that as well. everyone knows, the fighters understand how big a fight this really is.
This first fight scheduled for 5 2-minute rounds. That will change. We'll update you on that, of course, but this is the first of what is scheduled for 5 2-minute rounds. Early on, feeling each other, and now they get it to the ground.
Good lift. He was a little bit out of position, so he wasn't took that shot, but he sucked it in really nice, got his hips underneath him, was able to get him up in the air. Man, half guard needs to get one hand free. He'll start getting at least a little peppering shot. Zensov's not going to go away quietly.
This weight advantage that Russo has, does that become a factor, do you think, here, as now he tries to get to the ground and pound action going?
As the later the round goes, the later the fight gets into it, you start getting the 12, 13, 14 minute. Yeah, it's going to start, that extra weight is really going to start kind of going out.
He's okay.
Great to push pass. He really had to do it. It's almost a drag pass. Going right into a head and arm choke on the front side. He's a little bit out of position here, and Zensov is so big, though, that it is easy to get this as tight as possible because he doesn't have much space. You can see him grabbing the armpit, trying to get the air back out. Zensov's in a lot of trouble right here, even though it doesn't look like much, and the fact that Russo is so strong, he can actually make this a lot more painful than more than a choke because of his strength in his shoulders and his arms.
Mike Russo trying to take the initiative here, and so far he is dictating the pace of the very early going of round number 1, getting Zensov to the mat.
Now, Zensov wants to get out of this. See, his legs are laying flat on the ground. You don't see much hip movement. If he wants to get out of this, he has to move his legs and his hips. You just lay there, you've got, like Russo, a chance just to punish you. There's no purpose to it. Move your body. Try to get yourself back at least a half guard, if not all the way to full guard.
Tight chest, tight hip.
Russo has wrapped him up early and continues to try to work in a position, I would imagine, Frank, where he's going to try to see if he can get another ground and pound going against Zensov.
As you can see him on the top side, great camera angles in this nice side position. He has a position here, he can either pop a knee on top, or as he's doing, swing all the way out to north-south. And although he didn't lock it up and gave Zensov a little position to move, he's so good and agile at the ground position, Russo is able to hold it down.
Real nice. Don't be afraid to hop to the
Listen
other
how
side.
quiet the crowd has gotten since just a few minutes ago. There's a nice knee by Russo.
Stay active, Mike. You can go knee on belly on him, Mike. Roman, no holding too much. Good.
We can overhear some of the conversation coming from Russo's corner. They're encouraging him, of course, with the way the fight's going at this moment. He slammed Zensov early and has been in control of the ground.
So it doesn't look like much is happening. To those of you that are new to MMA, there's a lot of action going on here. He keeps reapplying, reworking his front head and arm choke, trying to get it. And he's just let the arm loose. Now he's got it sunk in a little bit deeper, just a head choke. You can see this is it.
That may be it. Yep. Russo's done it.
Wow,
methodically, Mike Russo takes control.
He did a really good job. He kept working. They finally said, okay, I'm going to get this position. I'm able to, to finally slide it off. He just needed to lose the arm to actually sink it in better because Zensov is so big in the shoulders. It's hard for him. And it's just amazing. I just don't think that Zensov is ready to put himself in the limelight that Fedor has kind of brought to the team. And he just seems to be a little bit more, losing more on anxiety than on his abilities. We've seen his abilities in the past, and obviously Russo, now has proven, at least to the other fans, I've already been a fan of his, but the other fans, hey, look, now he's ready for the bigger stage.
Big win then for Russo tonight, and he closes out his 2007 campaign with a 5-1 record. It's certainly a happy new year for Russo and all of his family and friends in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a great way to end up the year, especially beating a guy as big a name as Zensov. He had such a huge name in the heavyweight division. It makes it great. It really is a great start, obviously, having the American win the first weight. For him to win by submission against a great submission specialist. Zensov has a really good sambo background. He's able to beat it very easily and pull it off as we take a look here at Luis Azeredo making his trip down here and doing the traditional shoot box style of walk-in. Of course, he hails from Curitiba, Brazil, where shoot box was made famous by Vanderlei Silva and the Hua brothers are now, as everyone else is growing up and moving along. Luis Azeredo now is one of the main stars, up-and-coming stars, coming out of shootbox now, which they like to say is a 10th generation of shootbox star coming out of there, and Luis is that guy.
Azeredo's had a long layoff. So is his opponent tonight, Kawajiri. These guys last fought, not against each other, but they last fought in December of '06. So it's, we'll see if there's any ring rust as they get ready to do battle here.
Yeah, there will be some ring rust, but are they able to overcome it as they get ready to compete? We don't know. We only know by the end of the fight. And really, is ring rust a factor when you train with the guys at Shootbox? It is a lot of action. There's always somebody getting ready for a fight. There's always someone prepping for the next week. So I'm sure Azaredo's had some time to train and be in the mental state of having to get ready, other guys get ready for a fight. Let's see if he's able to pull this off tonight for himself, because now it's, let's shake it off and see if I'm ready to go now.
You look at Azaredo's record, 11-6 coming into this. He's lost to Gomi twice, and many good fighters can say that, can't they? They've gotten in the ring at all with Gomi.
Yeah, Gomi's a very strange anomaly that a lot of guys ran into him that should have been able to beat him very easily, and he knocked him cold very quickly.
He also lost to Sakurai, and he lost to Hansen, and they do have a common opponent here as Kawajiri gets ready to come in, and he also has lost to Gomi.
Gomi beat a lot of guys on that list that's beat Azaredo with Sakurai, who's fighting later tonight, and Sakurai got beat by Gomi as well in the lightweight Grand Prix last year. So you get to see these things happen, and like I said, it's MMA. Anything could happen. You could see a lot of upsets tonight, or it could go as planned, where every favorite fighter ends up winning. When you're talking about a guy like Kawajiri, he's always a favorite fighter when he's fighting in his home country of Japan, and he has amazing stand-up skill, but his biggest game, the reason why his stand-up skill is so good is because people are scared to shoot on him because they don't want to end up underneath him, because he's got one of the most devastating ground and pound action games in the country today. Really, look at any world, anyone in the MMA world at all, his ground and pound is probably the best, if not definitely top 3. And he really has strength and conditioning that you need to have a high action ground and pound game that he brings to it very, very well. And he's developed it. It gets better and better every time that he fights, even though it has been a year since last time he competed.
Tatsuya Kawajiri making his way to the ring, 19-4-2. As you mentioned, Frank, about his punching ability, those 19 wins, 10 have come by some form of knockout.
He's got heavy hands. He will go ahead and get a guy tired and then knock him out. So it's not like he doesn't do early knockouts. It's usually a little bit later.
As we take a look now at our tail of the tape, Azaredo and Kawajiri. A slight height and reach advantage for Azaredo. We'll see if that comes into effect. One thing that might is Azaredo has lost 3 of his last 5 fights. Had that unanimous decision victory over Daly back in early December of 2006. Kawajiri, meanwhile, had a 4-fight win streak stopped a year ago here to Gilbert Melendez. Melendez has won every fight, of course, so that was a big test at that time for Melendez coming in to defeat a fighter of the quality of Kawajiri, known as the Crusher.
Now, those you just saw, Yuji Shimada is the referee for this fight. You saw him stomping his feet on the ground. And I talked about earlier, we're talking about the modified, unified rules. For those of you who are used to seeing in Japan, is the head stomp and the soccer kicks. They're not allowed tonight. There is no head stomping. There is no soccer kicks to a downed opponent, meaning if you're standing on your feet, he's on his back, I can't go ahead and punch him or kick him in the head. But I am allowed to knee him. Wow, it's a great exchange happens right away. You are allowed to knee him at any time. There's no difference what position he's in. You are allowed to knee him to the head at any time. And of course, there are no elbows out here, so that's why I'm saying they're unified and modified.
Azaredo and Kawajiri, you know, with these two guys, when they go at it and start swinging, no one's going to back down. This would seem to be the fight that they would both want.
Yeah, and stylistically, it's a good fight for both guys. They both get to show their action, get to show their ability in all aspects of the fight game. Not just submission, not just striking. Both these guys are going to do stuff on the ground. Well, great takedown, great leg sweep to a body lock. And you're going to be able to see whether or not Azeredo is able to work on the ground. You're going to be able to see if Kawajiri is able to work his ground and pound like he always wants to do.
Kawajiri getting the takedown, and remember, the scoring system here, it's not a round-by-round scoring like people are familiar with in the United States. This is over the course of the entire fight, the way the points are accumulated by the judges here ringside.
And that makes a big difference because really, the first round is 10 minutes. And you can be looking at it, and all of a sudden you're looking at a position where, I was winning the first 3 minutes, but I lost the last 7 minutes. Now what happens? And well, you win the round. It's not traditional that a lot of guys will tend to kind of slow down at the end of the rounds. If you know judges are judging it in entirety, you have no choice but to have action the entire time.
You heard the crowd, the anticipation swelling with them as Kawajiri drew back trying to get a punch in on Azeredo, was not able to. Now tries to move up closer, and Azeredo slides out, head pops through the rope there, so they'll reposition out in the middle of the ring.
Azeredo doing a good job here, taking a little time to reset, getting a little breath and gathering himself. Depending on your style of competition and how your mind works, sometimes that's a good position. Take a little extra time when you can get it.
Especially, again, this is the first fight of the year for both fighters. Last fought in December of 06. What about the pacing, too, in this 10-minute round to start things off for two guys who have been laid off that way?
Now, people think about it, they go, well, it's just 2 rounds back-to-back, it's not that big a deal, but that minute break that you get when it's 3-5s is completely different than having a 10-minute first round. It's a lot more taxing on your body, you're a lot more exhausted.
Kawajiri getting a nice shot into the side of the head. Crowd cheering with every punch he's throwing right now.
He's starting to land with a lot more aim now. He's starting to really bounce the head around. Azeredo's got to get off this bottom. He's taking too much damage. He's not able to tie him up at all. Kawajiri's hitting him from different angles. It's going to wear and tear on him. He needs to move.
Kawajiri controlling the action here in the early going of this first round, this 10-minute round.
Bad position here. You just saw Azeredo try to reach underneath that leg for the sweep, and you got a guy that punches Kawajiri. You need both your hands up by your head. Either tying his arms up or blocking the punches.
Not all these punches obviously punishing, but Kawajiri is certainly dictating the pace here, and you get the feeling that if he gets a hammer fist down there or something, that he could do some damage pretty quick.
Yeah, and he hits, he's so strong. You can see his upper torso strength just by looking at him. He's very strong, a great position. Now he's really getting off. Got that hand tied up. He's really starting to line him up. You can start to see how his head's getting hit a lot more. Azeredo's head's getting hit a lot more. Kawajiri's doing a lot better job with his aim.
Azeredo, all he can do is try to defend himself as best he can here as Kawajiri continues to throw punch after punch.
And he needs to make up his mind. As Azeredo's doing a great job of getting his knees inside, but he's not. There he goes. Now he's starting to push away. He's not pushing away or pulling him in. If you get your knees in there, you got to use them. Pull the guy into you or push him away with those knees to keep him from hitting him in the face.
Kawajiri closing in now.
Very flexible, Azeredo. You can see he's getting his heel up on that hip every time, getting the push off.
Nice short punch there, Kawajiri. You see him cock back. He's one to unload one big one, isn't he? And the crowd wants him to.
Azeredo's looking for an armbar, looking for a triangle. He's been his legs up higher. Keeps trying to work the high guard as opposed to the low guard. He's just not. Kawajiri doing a good job of bringing his arms back in and keeping a lot of action, but not overextending himself.
You look at the definition of Kawajiri, you would not guess just on appearance that these guys were the same weight class, would you, when they first walk in?
No, not at all. Kawajiri looks so much bigger, so much stronger, but he's a little bit shorter, so he gives up in mass. When he gains in mass, he loses in height. We're just at about 4:45, just under 5 minutes left in this first 10-minute round. You can see how the pace of the fight is starting to slow down. Most other fights, this is the first round. We're ending now. You can see how the pace is starting to slow down a little bit. And the defense is getting a little bit, sloppier from Azeredo. Starting to see Kawajiri's hands hit a little bit hard, hit a little more with more accuracy, but not as hard.
Tatsuya Kawajiri calling pretty much his shots here in this first round.
He's been in complete control this entire time. Azeredo really has been defensive and ain't chancing it at all.
Even when he's swinging and missing, the crowd is in this.
Kawajiri staying in the guard. He's trying to start. He's hitting him so much now. He's start trying to punch pass, get to a side position, either half guard or full side. Once you're there, a guy can't submit you very easily. You know, a lot less easily than they can from the guard position, and you can get a lot more striking done.
Azzarino, as you pointed out earlier, trying to maybe see if he can get a triangle going. He can't get a hold of those arms long enough to try to get a submission that way.
Kawajiri is very good. He's not resting with his arms extended. He rests with his arms in by his hips, so there's no way to catch him.
Kawajiri fighting a very smart fight. He doesn't look like a guy that's been out of action, at least in the ring, in a real fight, let's call it. Obviously, he's been training hard for this, but this is his first real fight in over, well, it's been 1 year ago since Gilbert Melendez beat him.
He's pushing the pace, a lot higher pace than he had when he fought Gilbert. He's really maintaining his pace, but of course, Gilbert got that hit in the match, kind of like he's doing now as Never let Azzarino, at least to this point, into the match at all. As we see a yellow card pop out for stalling is what they're calling it for. That's what Yuji Shimada just told Azzarino. He was stalling and not doing anything. So I'm going to give you, not only give you a yellow card, but I'm going to take 10% of your purse as well. Every time you see a yellow card out here, it's 10% of your purse is gone.
And that's what really stings, isn't it? That stings about as much as some of these punches, I would imagine, going already.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much money you make, 10% of your income for the evening is a lot of money.
Think it was a good call, though?
I do. I don't think Ezra was doing anything down there at all. He wasn't using his knees to push. He wasn't using his legs to pull in. He really wasn't doing anything other than just laying there trying to stop him from getting hit. He's got to be in a better position. Oh,
and there he goes down. Kawajiri takes him right back down.
With the exact same position, almost the exact same leg sweep he used the first time. Just catches that heel and keeps it tight to his body and leans on him. And we're used to standing on two legs. You only have one leg. You lay on that side, you can fall over.
Kawajiri not doing anything differently. Everything he's done has been so effective. No point changing any part of the game plan here.
You know, the only reason why we change a position at this point is because you can see yourself finishing it in a different position. But other than that, he's been dominating so much from the full guard and just really destroying Azzarino at this point. I have to agree with you, Ken, to stay in this position, don't think about moving.
Azzarino does look like the guy that maybe should have tried to sneak a fight in there before this one, doesn't he?
Yeah, he needed a little more time, and he's just not. He's got great flexibility. Oh,
there's Azzarino. Wait, maybe he's playing possum. He's going for the rear naked choke.
Yeah, he's amazing for his back position. He's got great position, but Kawajiri is very, very strong and has very big shoulders. Hard to get anything in on him.
Got the headlock in there now. Can't get that big left arm of his under the neck right now, but Azzarino suddenly springs to life here.
He's got a minute 20 to try to do something with it, and hopefully he can pull this off. He might be able to get a finish here. But Kawajiri's got to hold that wrist. He's got a good defense on it. Needs to get his back to the mat, though. He's got his back on top of Azzarino's chest. He needs to get his back on the mat, get his head free. And that's going to be able to give him a position to finish. Oh, switch to an armbar.
Kawajiri dominating this fight, but Azzarino now trying to wrap it up here with the submission.
We're under a minute right now, about 55 seconds left in this first round, and Azzarino had a great finishing position and gave it up.
And now he's paying for it. Some hammers coming down from Kawajiri.
Kawajiri's got his elbow out. The armbar it would look like it was in, but it wasn't. His elbow was out of the position.
Azzarino in this long first round, this 10-minute first round, he's already received a yellow card for being inactive. He sprang to life, but now Kawajiri is closing out strong once again, scoring with punch after punch.
He's picking his spots. We're here about 25 seconds left in this first round. Kawajiri's just picking his spot and taking it.
Azzarino right now has become a human punching bag down there.
Remember, every time you get hit, hit on the canvas, it's really 4 hits because your head hits the canvas as well, and then your brain shifts around there a little bit. So he's doing a lot more damage than they look.
Round 1 coming to a close. Kawajiri dominating just about every minute of it.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, I got to be honest with you. The ring rust looks to be on Azzarino, not on Kawajiri at all. If he's slowed down at all, if anything's not working, I got to be honest with you. I don't see it right now in Kawajiri's game. He looks the same as he did a year ago, and he looks to be in a little bit better shape, maybe a little bit more determined because his last fight was a loss. I mean, I'm not sure, what goes on inside his psyche. I'm not able to train him because he lives over here in Japan, but he obviously looks better, at least the same, if not a little bit better than he did a year ago.
Nice leg on Kawajiri. Let's take a look at him early on. He got the trip, got it on the ground. He did it later, and this was almost, you could show this as the first part or the last part of the round, and that's just about all the way it went.
Yeah, really, you know, honestly, Azaredo really didn't do much, but tried not to get hit, tried not to get pushed around, tried not to get bullied, but yet it was happening to him the whole time. You know, he just didn't have any answer for Kawajiri at all, and if this goes to the distance, I really got to believe that Kawajiri is going to decisively win this fight. But of course, you know me, I always prefer to see it finish.
Well, you know, the one I thought was really interesting too is Azaredo, who got the yellow card and was just kind of hanging out. He's just hanging out, watching himself get hit, it looked like, for most of this first round, and suddenly springs to action, tried the rear naked choke, then tried the arm bar, and had that burst of about a minute and a half late in the first round.
Now, for those of you at home that thought that break was a little bit long, it was. The breaks here are 90 seconds as opposed to a minute, which most of us are used to at home. So it's a 10-minute first round, a 90-second break, and then a 5-minute second round. And if that goes all the way, then the 3 judges at ringside get to score it and pick out the winner.
Azaredo in the black, Kawajiri in the red, as they start this second 5-minute round now. Nice kick by Kawajiri, who shoots in, and this time Azaredo able to stay up well for about that long on his feet. Now he's right back in a similar spot.
And his arms cut underneath, and I mean, really, he's his corner, and I know the guys over. Kujimar told him, you know, one of his trainers in the corner told him, you got to move, you got to get going. You're getting dominated, you're getting beat this whole round. If you don't do something, it's over. You know, there's a difference. You know, this is not the sport to go out there and try to survive. You know, if you don't be mad at me, if you play baseball and you want to just ride the rails, you can go ahead and do that, not get hurt. You try to ride the rails in an MMA fight, you know, it's going to be you can get a lot of damage can happen very, very quickly. So you better get after it, get something moving. My wife is a huge baseball fan at home watching. Just got mad at me and changed it.
Who's your favorite team?
You know what? I don't have a favorite team. I have a lot of players and friends of mine between Reed Johnson and Aaron Rowan and Penny and the Weavers. I'm pretty lucky in that sense, but actually I don't like baseball at all. I hate it.
Kawajiri with a good left hook. And another takedown.
So I was hoping that right there that Azaredo would be able to pull something in, and he had that front head choke. Kawajiri is just too good right now in submission defense.
Kawajiri and Azaredo, this is their first fight of the year. Both fought December of 2006. A loss for Kawajiri, a victory for Azaredo, and Kawajiri coming out here certainly as the hungry fighter and the fighter who looks in the best shape right now. And certainly in the best shape on the judges' cards.
Both guys weighed in at 157 pounds, you know, at lightweight division. You know, they're definitely a big factor. You know, but like I said before, lightweight division is usually controlled by Japan, and we can see why. I mean, look at the talent pool that they have over here with these guys.
They continue to cheer every punch that Kawajiri throws.
Little cut now, then that's going to be a deciding factor. Kawajiri is really good at smelling the blood. And once he sees that cut, he knows the finish is coming.
And you see that left eye of Azaredo now. It's really opened up.
Azaredo's moving to desperate positions now, just looking for any way to get the pressure off him. Kawajiri just will not give up. We're going to see a little bit more of this later tonight when Ishida, his teammate, competes, because he competes the exact same way. Constant pressure, always moving forward.
Azaredo trying to just hang on here. Kawajiri dominated the first round, doing the same here in the second round. And the punch count on this would have to be something like 30-1 or more, 50-1. I was trying to remember when Azaredo actually had a punch of significance.
I think it was the first 6 seconds into the first round.
When he was shadow boxing coming down the steps of the ring.
There's about a minute 20, minute 15 left in this second round, and Kawajiri is completely dominated and showed the reason why that he's one of the better lightweights in the world. Great stand-up, great position, and really Azeredo just needs to go back to the drawing board and figure out what he's going to do with a guy that gives him this much pressure.
Kawajiri with a huge return to action. A minute to go in this fight. You wonder if Azeredo has, I don't know what he can do at this stage, Frank.
Bar, a miracle submission, because he's tried a half dozen different submissions, and none of them are close. Barring a miracle submission, there's nothing he can do at this point.
Kawajiri has been smart, getting his punches in. He's avoided the arm bar, got out of a rear naked choke attempt by Azeredo, and Kawajiri continues to swing away.
Constant pressure by Kawajiri was amazing. It just never stops. Partial knee bar.
This fight coming to a close. Kawajiri going out strong. Tatsuya Kawajiri last fought New Year's Eve 2006. Lost to Gilbert Melendez, comes back here a year later. And I'm predicting wins this one big. You see Kawajiri, who talked about earlier, 19-4-2. 10 of those victories by way of knockout. Has the punching powers we've seen. It's gone to the judges. They have made their decision. Yeah, it had to be unanimous, didn't it?
There's no other way to see it. On no matter what card you're looking at, how you try to figure this one out, Kawajiri completely dominated.
The evening started with Mike Russo picking up a big victory. He's standing by now with Ron.
Chicago, Illinois' Mike Russo. Mike, you said yesterday at the weigh-ins that the key to this fight was getting it to the mat as soon as possible. Well, you executed that to perfection.
Oh, yeah, that was my plan going into this the whole time. I mean, Roman's done stuff. He's very heavy-handed, and my game plan was to take him down. And actually, I wanted to get that north-south choke. I've been getting a lot of people with lately.
Yeah, you got it. Now, a win over an established veteran fighter like Zentsov, that has to be a fight that can really propel you to the next level, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's great for your confidence. I mean, just all the hard work that you put into this, and to beat a good guy like him, I'm just ready to move on, get back in the gym, and just start training harder. I'm ready for the next person, whoever it is.
Mike, what will be next for you? This was a big win.
Oh, it was huge. Whatever my manager, Monty Cox, he's the man. Whatever he wants me to do next, that's what I'll do. It was awesome.
Congratulations and Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you guys, too. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Frank and Kenny, back to you.
All right, thanks, Ron. Indeed, a big win for Mike Russo to get us started. We get ready now for our third fight of this evening. Here at Yarennoka, before a packed house at the Saitama Super Arena. Over 20,000 here. Fedor's return coming up later live here on HDNet. Meanwhile, we get ready for one of the veterans, former UFC middleweight champ, Murilo Bustamante, as he makes his way toward the cage.
The oldest fighter on the card tonight at 41.
I slipped and said cage, obviously the ring, but I was going back to the UFC days with him.
It's it really, once you get in there, it's all the same. It's a competition is competition, whether you're in a ring or a cage. It's a little bit different stylistically what you have to prepare for. But for Bustamante, it doesn't make a difference to him because his submission game is so good on the ground. Like I, as I was saying before, at 41 years old, the oldest competitor, will age be a factor? Will it slow things down a little bit for him? Obviously, his technique and his style and his thought process is so much better than most. It's still going to be difficult for him to try to put it together with his age, because it will slow things down metabolism-wise, even though the mind is just as sharp as ever.
And when you look at his career and his record of 14-6-1, I mean, it's a veritable who's who. A win over Matt Lindland, a loss to Dan Henderson twice, and Quentin Jackson once, and Chuck Liddell. I mean, pretty much that's a Hall of Fame roster that he's gone into the battle with.
Yeah, Bustamante is one of the best guys that's been around for the longest time. Truly one of the traditional icons of MMA. He's a little bit of a newcomer to the MMA scene, and Matuko Takamoto, judo guy, obviously one of the better players in judo. He tends to use only judo when he competes, though. And against a guy like Murilo Bustamante, if you're only going to use judo, you're not going to be able to beat him, because his submission is better than your judo. You may throw him to the ground, but he's going to be able to nullify you and submit you once you hit the ground. So it's one of those situations where hopefully he's developed his game a little bit more, Takimoto has, so now where he's going to use his strikes. He's going to use his wrestling ability a little bit more to control the takedown the way through. Otherwise, it does no good.
Makoto Takimoto, who has that great judo background, including an Olympic gold medal in there as we look at the tail of the tape. Bustamante, it leaps out, he has the height advantage. Does that make a difference with the 41 years? He's given up 8 years to Takimoto, but he does have a sizable height reach advantage.
The reach advantage and the height advantage will not make a difference in this, because both guys are in close. Both guys are inside fighters. They like to put it to the ground. Obviously, judo really tight. Murilo's style is a little bit looser, but inside the punching range. The height factor will not make a difference in this one, because they don't strike as much as some of the other fighters.
Takimoto, who began his judo career at 6 years old, dreamed of making it to the Olympics, and he did in style, taking home the top prize. Round one is underway. This is a 10-minute rounder, and there you see the big swing and a miss with the kick early of Takimoto, who is 1-1. Has not been very active in the last year and a half. That dates back to December of 2005.
Brand new to the sport, takes a little bit more time to develop, especially when you come from an Olympic gold medalist in judo. You get those first couple fights under your belt, you realize how much more difficult this really is.
Warning there about grabbing onto the ropes.
Like we were saying earlier, once you're inside, height, reach advantage, now it doesn't make a difference.
Timeout called.
The other card looks like Tony Murilo for touching the ropes again. 10%.
Well, it isn't like Bustamante would be unfamiliar with the rules.
He's been around a long time, and a lot of the rules I think he helped write. Him and Matt Hume.
Oh, that was a good punch there. Good combination by Bustamante. Takimoto trying to come back with it.
Wow, great exchange. Murilo's using his hands a lot better than he has in the past, and he locked up, but he was winning that battle for him to tie up right now. The Jukata, oh!
And Takimoto gets the takedown.
For him to type in that position was kind of silly. That's the reason why. Now he's on the ground, and he's winning that striking battle. He should use it to his advantage.
Yeah, Bustamante with a surprise here, coming out swinging away there for a moment. Looked like a boxer, didn't he?
Great arm bar. Sunk right into a great hip motion. He's got it sunk in, but Takimoto's got a good job of defending. He's got his hands locked, so he can't extend yet.
Takimoto, the younger and less experienced MMA fighter against one of the veterans in Bustamante.
Takimoto did a good job of getting his head back between the legs to get the armbar off, but got caught again as Murilo reached across with the other leg and struck him back to his hip.
Bustamante trying to hang on, and look at Takimoto.
Good work by Takimoto. Great strength, good head position the entire time, keeping your head up.
Showed a lot of poise there, didn't he, to get out of that?
Can't panic, especially with a guy like Bustamante on top of you in an armbar position, one of his favorite positions.
Takimoto trying to wind up again. He's got to watch for those up kicks of Bustamante.
Now the height difference. No, great leg sweep. Bad position for Takimoto.
Now Bustamante trying to work from the top.
Takimoto doing a good job of keeping Bustamante in his guard. Not traditional in judo. That's something that he'd be overly familiar with.
Wow, Takimoto, to the delight of this packed house. He's had an answer for everything that Bustamante's thrown at him.
Constant motion, constant movement. Takimoto is right now giving Bustamante a lot of problems.
Takimoto does not look like the 3-3 fighter coming into this.
No, not at all. He looks a lot better, a lot more motion, a lot more movement, and a lot more confidence too in his position change.
I wonder at any time if Bustamante would consider maybe trying to make this a stand-up fight once again. That's been his best action, it seems.
That's one of the things you have to, Murillo basically runs and coaches and trains him in his camp. It's hard to be in his corner because you're one of his students. But yeah, if I was in his corner, I would tell him, if this thing isn't working for you right now, is he gets in the back position, keeping it tight, looking for the rear naked choke. If this doesn't work, get back to the feet and start swinging again. That was working so easily, earlier.
Well, Takimoto able to stand up and get out of this, and now gets Bustamante back down.
Looking for a nice head throw. Bustamante did a good job of countering it.
Bustamante quickly regaining control here on the ground. Good right by Bustamante.
Good job closing off that guard and getting as far in as he can. You can't really see it on the camera, but he inside his knees up, trying to pass at the same time.
Bustamante now goes with the knee. And now moves into full mount. Takimoto is going to stand up and try to stand out of this, I believe. You see the height advantage. It almost looked like Bustamante brought his kid to the fight.
Grabs hold of that heel. Takimoto leaves that heel out there again. Knee bar.
Bustamante trying to get the submission here in the first round. Crowd sensing it. Takimoto's had an answer for everything. Will he have one more?
Great defense. He's doing a really good job with his legs to defend out of each one of those knee bars. A lot of other guys with his ring experience wouldn't be able to get out of that as easily.
Again, Takimoto, this is his third fight since December 2005. And he's gone up against certainly one of the pioneers of mixed martial arts, former UFC middleweight champ, Murilo Bustamante, who once again now in full mount, and once again, Takimoto trying to squirm out of it.
Now let's see if we're right. Bustamante can still use his hands again.
Bustamante swinging, and Takimoto is trying to answer back. Bustamante, good right. A nice left by Takimoto, but Bustamante answers.
Takimoto did a good job of getting his head out of the way, but every time he swung, he was off balance and completely. Falls to the ground and gives up mount. Now, traditionally, we'd start seeing some head kicks here. Remember, the rules have changed. We're using modified rules here, so there's no head kicks to a down opponent, which changes the game, because the fight would have been over in this position. But traditionally, with the old rules, the new rules, the more improved rules, the better rules. No head stomps, no sucker kicks to the head. Makes it safe for the competitors. At least in this case, better for the fans. We get a little more fight time.
Bustamante again trying to deliver one big punch. He's certainly been much more impressive when he stood up. That's when he's done his most damage, Bustamante, in this first round.
Yeah, the submission attempts, even though amazing from a technical standpoint, weren't close because Takimoto's defense is so good. You're correct, Kevin, on his feet.
Frank, I'm wondering if Takimoto actually wind up scoring the points by being able to escape those submission attempts in the eyes of the judges.
Escapes do count. They do look at it, judges do look at the escape points, but to get the escape point, you have to be caught in something. So catching down a submission is a little bit more.
1 minute to go here in this first round. So redness over the right eye of Takimoto. And Bustamante continues to look at Takimoto. He's going to exchange with him once again, showing a southpaw stance. Bustamante, good left. Takimoto is getting it back to the ground.
Takimoto's making the classic mistake of a judo player. Every time he gets in trouble, he tries to throw. There's no gi to grab onto, so he gives up a better position because he's looking for this throw that there's no place to hold on to. He ends up again in side control, being side control as opposed to being inside control where he's in power.
Check your gi at the gate here when you get ready to step into the ring. Final seconds of round one. Very entertaining first round. Takimoto playing it smart, didn't he? No way I'm going to stand up in these final seconds and give Bustamante one more shot at me.
No, there's no reason to, especially when you've been hit and when you were trying to hit back, although he did land a couple of good blows. He was off balance. He did fall over. As you see, Bustamante with his great flexibility, it's the very first arm bar. He just snuck it in there, and he had it extremely tight, but Takimoto kept his hands together. Now he's getting his position. He's finding his spots, and even though he got hit, he was able to hit Takimoto as well. Not the best technical punching that I've seen. I think one of my friends, Elena Reed, who's a world champion, I've called her fights before, would agree with me on this case. That Elena and I have debates all the time about how boxing and MMA is not as good as boxing for boxing's sake. There's no reason to, but obviously that boxing needs to be a little bit tighter.
And then here once again is Takimoto in trouble, but getting out of trouble.
Now, I like how he uses his foot to get away from that. As you get to see it there, but he used a great position. This is the ref cam, as you're seeing here. This is what the referee sees. He has this wrapped around his head a little bit, and it really is a new advantage that you get to see here in Japan with the head cams and the referees. They give you a different view than what you're used to.
Makoto Takimoto, 3-3 as a pro, the Olympic gold medalist in judo in 2000. Still young in the MMA game, but showing a lot of poise here against a big favorite in Murilo Bustamante.
Yeah, Bustamante is really, on paper, this fight should have been over a long time ago. So this is definitely a lot more exciting than I thought it was going to be.
Nick Kalikas, who does the odds for us on Inside MMA, works for BetOnFighting.com. He actually had Bustamante as a 5-1 favorite coming into this fight. Here we go into the second and final round. Bustamante once again coming out, trying to get some leather in there.
I don't know if he's confident in his hand game or he just keeps his hands a little bit too low, especially with the guy as wild as Takimoto has been throwing that big right hand with his head down. He connects even a little bit, he can put Bustamante out. He needs to keep his hands just a little bit higher to protect that chin of his.
Bustamante with those underhooks in there, but getting the flip. That's a classic judo move, isn't it, Takimoto?
Good counter, did a great job getting himself out of there. Bustamante, I don't understand. You know, I'm a little bit confused. Why is he taking it to the ground? He's doing so much better on his feet. Tire out Takimoto, embarrass him a little bit, frustrate him a little bit. Don't put him in a position where he feels comfortable on the ground.
I was going to ask earlier, you know, I know Bustamante, obviously a former UFC champ we talked about. He's 41 years old. But you see some of his moves, you think if somebody worked a little bit more with his stand-up game, he's got some pretty good punching going there.
He has been working on it, you know, as of late. A lot of the guys coming out of Brazilian top teams have been working on their hand game. It just sometimes doesn't translate to all of a sudden on Saturday night in the ring. Obviously, it's a little bit different. The lights are on you.
Well, he's back up, and we'll see now, and Takimoto will swing back at him. And look at that big uppercut that missed.
Takimoto's hitting Bustamante now as much as Bustamante's hitting him. See,
Oh,
there it is.
With the left. Takimoto knocks him down.
I think this fight might be coming to a close.
Takimoto is all over Bustamante right now. Takimoto could be on his way to his biggest victory yet.
Can Bustamante recover from that punch? Wow. He's got to keep him close. If he gives Takimoto any space at all and gets him a couple more punches, this fight will be done for Bustamante.
The judo expert Takimoto with the biggest punch in this fight. And just like the coxman telling his oarsman to pull, row, row, listen to the crowd with Takimoto.
There's 2 minutes left in this round, and Bustamante, at this point, it's anybody's fight. He needs to get off the bottom. He wants to win it. Takimoto needs to keep swinging.
Cheering with every punch of Takimoto.
His arm's cutting out underneath the body. He's got his other arm pinched up. He's in trouble here. Bustamante's not in a good position. He can't defend himself.
Bustamante trying to wrap up. Takimoto now will try to go to the knees.
And that knee from the bottom for Bustamante hurt Takimoto.
Yeah, there's obviously another kind of reach advantage on the ground with those long legs of Bustamante. A minute to go in this fight. An impressive performance for Takimoto against the veteran Bustamante.
Bustamante's corner needs to get a little action on Bustamante. This fight is definitely anybody's game still. Less than 30 seconds left.
Takimoto trying to stretch that arm out of Bustamante.
Great job of Takimoto with his hands together, keeping his head stuck in between the legs so he won't be in a bad position.
Bustamante now getting into the mount, trying to throw a few punches. Final seconds. This fight is over.
Tough fight to call. Who do you have winning, Kenny? Get off the fence.
I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to give it to Takimoto. I think because of the first round, he was able to escape, and in that second round, at this exchange of punches, there was the best punch of the night, that left hand. And I think Makoto Takimoto controlled this fight.
Here it comes. Big left hand hits him right on the chin. And there's one of the things I was saying earlier. When you're in MMA, you got to keep your hands up like a boxer. If you don't, anybody at any time you get knocked down like that. And Bustamante was on his way to starting to control the fight, and he lost it.
So are we going with Takimoto? Are we in agreement?
We're in agreement. I got to go with Takimoto too, just because Bustamante had the fight and gave it away.
You wonder what if he had stayed on his feet more and tried to swing away. It's a moot point now. The judges have made their decision.
判定の結果をお伝えします。ジャッジ小林、滝本。ジャッジマット、ムリーノ。ジャッジ大橋、滝本、よって勝者、滝本
Makoto Takimoto with the biggest win of his young MMA career, the Olympic gold medalist in judo, in this, his 7th pro fight. Knocks off Murillo Bustamante.
Great fight. A lot more action than it should have been on paper. Fight should have been over a lot earlier by Bustamante. Didn't finish the fight, actually got beaten in a split decision. And it ended up being a lot more action,
Takimoto comes in the 5-1 underdog and pulls the upset. Coming up later, of course, Fedor in action, and also one of the rising lightweights in the world, Gilbert Melendez.
You know, I've been fighting internationally for a couple of years now in Japan, and trying to hold it down for California and the U.S. out here. And you know, I think a lot of people don't understand how prestigious it is and how well it's looked at out here. And it's definitely an honor to be out here to share the same stage with the best fighters in the whole world. You know, Fedor's fighting in that ring. You know, it's blessed already, that ring. You know, just for him stepping in it, and you know, guys like Kawajiri, who I fought, Sakurai, Azevedo's here, Bustamante's here, Arona's supposed to fight. I mean, these guys are all living legends, and I get to share the same ring with them, man. It's a dream come true. It's an honor. It's, you know, it's definitely it's like, I wouldn't say it's my goal, but it's something like I've always been, you know, always wanted to, you know, stand in the same ring with these guys. Yeah. A long way from the barnyard beat downs and the, you know, fighting in the sticks, dude. But you know, you gotta start somewhere. All you young fighters crying about money and everything already and stuff. You know, you gotta earn your respect a little before you start complaining. Yeah. So if you've never seen me fight, you know, you'll see that my style is it's just more of a relentless, high-paced fighting style. You know, I think I have you know, tools on my feet, tools on my back, you know, tools on top, tools in wrestling. But yeah, just a high-paced fighter that, you know, that likes to fight, really likes to fight. My opponent is Mitsuhiro Ishida. He's a top 10 guy. Last time I fought was actually New Year's Eve against Takanori Gomi for the belt. So, you know, he was the #1 contender for that belt, you know, last year. I know he's a short southpaw, he's an aggressive wrestler, and but he has a lot of decisions, so I feel like, you know, he's not a guy that does a lot of finishes or does a lot of damage. So I think he's a really strong guy, a really good wrestler, and you know, either I'm going to finish him or it's going to be a long fight. I got to see him actually fight live, you know, once or actually twice I've seen him fight live. And you know, and I've seen him fight on video and, you know, live on pay-per-view a couple times. And you know, he's more of a one-dimensional fighter. You know, wants to take you down and hold you and ground and pound you. You know, so I did my homework on him, researched him. I don't overanalyze too much, but I definitely did my research on the guy, and I seen him fight, and you know what to expect. My strategy is just, you know, to whoop him up. You know, just kick his butt. But you know, I don't really say I have a game plan. But I am definitely prepared for like scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, you know, or scenario D, or every scenario out there I'm prepared for. I predict tonight's going to be, you know, a high-paced fight of the night. You know, I always try to fight my heart out, and, you know, I can't sleep at night unless I fight my heart out. So I predict, you know, I haven't got a knockout in a long time. I predict Gilbert Melendez going for a kill against Mitsuhiro Ishida, and I predict a win, another win.
Now I'm a little biased when it comes to Goat Melendez. Of course, my radio show, Tag Radio, is one of his sponsors, so that helps out quite a bit as well. But he comes from Santa Ana, California, is a vicious, mean man when he fights. And probably the nicest guys I've ever met. Like, literally, most fighters don't get along with me. Stylistically, personally, we don't get along. Gilbert and I get along famously. It's amazing how well we get along because he's such a nice guy. But once he gets inside those ropes, it's over. He literally, I don't know what the switch is. I don't know if it's a chemical imbalance. I don't know if they keep him off his ADD medication. I don't know what it is. He literally turns crazy and fights with that viciousness the entire time.
Mitsuhiro Ishida, 14-3-1.
Obviously, the crowd, the fans love Ishida, tremendously famous, has the exact same style as Melendez, straightforward, constant pressure. You are literally going to see the most high-action fight of the night for me. This is my fight of the night because of the action that's going to happen.
As we take a look at the tail of the tape, no one has defeated Gilbert Melendez. Ishida coming in here. 3 of his victories by way of knockout. Had a 9-fight win streak stopped by, and we'll mention this name again, just a year ago, Gomi defeated him with a TKO. So Ishida has been in against some of the best. Melendez certainly has picked it up and has really had a meteoric rise since debuting in the WEC back in 2002. Much anticipation about this matchup.
Just off camera, Kenny, I can see it's because they're in our corner. Kawajiri is actually in Ishida's corner, so he just won tonight and immediately came out to support his training partner, his teammate.
Gilbert Melendez, he started off his career, he won his first 5 fights by way of technical knockout. The last 4 victories have come by way of decision for the 25-year-old Californian. And round 1 begins.
Obviously, Gilbert has a long range, a long reach. A little bit bigger, a little bit taller.
And here's a guy that will take advantage of that reach that he has.
Gilbert doesn't mind at all staying on his feet. Got great uppercuts, which feed right into Ishida style because Ishida likes to shoot. Gilbert's going to catch him with an uppercut who tries to get in.
Melendez pawing out there with that jab as Ishida tries for the single leg. And Melendez hanging tough, but not now.
Wow, Ishida trying to power his way into this.
And Melendez standing up. Ishida showing some good power here early on. Get this right back on the ground.
There's a topside crucifix. It's the opposite side from the camera, has his arm caught. Trying to put this reverse power half on this side. He's got to be a little bit careful here. Ishida needs to keep pushing that head down.
Right now, Melendez, no place to put that right arm. See Ishida working on the left.
Good job changing position.
Now Melendez back in 3. Tries to cut the rope down. Tries to cut the ring down and hit the rope more than the opponent there, but the crowd loves it.
She's got a lot of movement, moving a lot to his left. It's moving right into Gilbert's right hand, though. Should be moving the other way to get away from that power right.
Melendez corner there, telling him to double the jab we overhear them. Because he has just been flicking it out there, almost pawing instead of punching.
Guys, quick as Yoshida, you want to make sure snapping punches are those when you get in again.
There's Yoshida again, grabbing hold and going down.
Great takedown game on Yoshida. Really much improved from the last time I saw him fight.
Yoshida only a couple of submission victories. He's had 11 of his wins have come by way of decision. He certainly doesn't mind going the distance and racking up the points.
Trying to keep him in the ring. You know, there's probably 6 extra officials inside on the outside of the ring to keep everyone inside for fighter safety.
And for those who may be unfamiliar, those were officials that were not some random fan sitting courtside like at the Lakers game, pushing the ball back in.
It wasn't Jack Nicholson trying to push him back in. Yoshida really hasn't thrown any punches as of yet. Melendez has been really banging up, controlling the feet, but getting taken down every time.
Yoshida now with 3 takedowns here in this first round. Going for the back now, Melendez. In a bear hug, he's hanging on. Well, Melendez trying to slam him from this position.
She gets his head in front. There it is.
He does.
Great job.
He drives him into the canvas. And now Melendez going for the choke. He's going for the guillotine.
He's got the chin cut underneath. You can see his hand cutting that chin if he can extend his body out. He's got the length extended. If he hasn't been tight enough, looks like his hand's coming free, though.
Crowd appreciates the effort by Yoshida to get out of that.
Great position change.
Melendez with that slam that echoes throughout this packed arena. Now it's Yoshida trying to get back in control of this fight. He's had the most takedowns and picking up the points here in this first round.
Nice side control position. Good job letting him move his hips.
Yoshida trying to measure Melendez. But he's going to work more on those knees a minute ago, Frank, but opted not to.
Remember these rules, allowed to knee an opponent at any time, whether he's on his feet or not. There's a great position. Oh, you see a nice knee by Gilbert in the body finally. He's trying to use his legs a little bit.
The clinch, good striking by Melendez. Keep waiting to see if he will try some combination or double up on that jab as his corner was trying to encourage him.
Now he's reaching. He's starting to reach a little bit with his punching. He's getting a little bit more nervous about the takedown.
Halfway here in this first round. Here on Yarennoka, the biggest fight night of the year in Japan and their biggest day of the year, New Year's Day. Just a little over 2 hours away here in Tokyo, and at the Saitama Super Arena, it is a packed house. Fedor's return, and also to see a great undercard that includes Gilbert Melendez, who was just slammed once again to the mat by Mitsuhiro Ishida.
Gilbert did a great job after getting slammed, trying to roll in the triangle. An even better job by Ishida to get out of it. As I said earlier, non-stop action. These guys tend to keep going, tend to keep moving.
And Ishida, who's been inactive for almost a year, obviously Melendez hasn't, but Ishida comes out here in full strength. Once again, just as he stands up, Yoshida gets another takedown, and Melendez is back up and goes into the corner.
Now, when people wondering, I'm sure, and I'm speculating. I'm not positive why Gilbert's doing this, but you have a guy that keeps taking you down over and over again. You put yourself in the corner, it's harder for him to take you down. There's less positions for him to move you to, as if you're in the center of the ring. Oh, he's got the Kimura.
Melendez trying for his submission attempt.
3 minutes. 3 minutes left, people. 3 minutes left.
Yoshida back in control, getting the back now of Melendez.
Just under 3 minutes in this first 10-minute round.
Yoshida's had success with these takedowns.
Is really all Yoshida has done really is use punching and get inside, and then he's used it's become a submission match from his standpoint. Well, Gilbert the whole entire time is trying to create space and start swinging again. Now you're going to start seeing as this fight goes longer, whose style is can control the other man's style better.
That's one of the judges again, holding on to the ropes there.
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
And again, Yoshida going for that takedown.
Two minutes, Gil.
A little over 2 minutes to go here in round number 1. Gilbert Melendez with his unbeaten streak on the line. And trying to go 2-0 on New Year's Eve here in Tokyo, won last year.
Great wrestling ability by Yoshida. He was stuck in a weird position. He kept going back to the takedown.
Yoshida making sure he avoids one of those up kicks. As the back of Melendez, who's going to be warned for grabbing onto that rope. Once again, Yoshida going piggyback there for a moment. Melendez spinning out of it, delivers a couple of knees. Almost was able to unload with the combinations.
Yoshida's so quick. The moment the punch is coming, his body is almost faster than his punches, which is unheard of.
A minute to go in this first round.
1 minute. 40 seconds. 40 seconds.
Got that arm caught. He's used to his advantage if he can. It's a good Kimura position. If he wants to go ahead and lock it in, he can finish it from here because he's got his head caught in there too. A little awkward.
Just about a half a minute to go here in this opening 10-minute round. Melendez and Ishida. And Yoshida gets another takedown after taking some slaps from Melendez. And now he's trying for a guillotine at the bell. That is the end of the first round.
Now, for the Japanese fans, it's a huge fight because T-Blood is Ishida and Kawajiri. And Melendez beat Kawajiri in a 15-minute decision. And Kawajiri wants to get this fight back. He wants to get it back. And you see this big slam by the beginning by Gilbert right when Ishida got on his back. But he couldn't take advantage of it. Ishida did a good job protecting himself and rolling over and coming right back up, getting back to his feet, getting caught in a guillotine, and then defends this as well. There's a great lift job here on Gilbert and repays the favor, but Gilbert tries to roll immediately into a triangle lock, and Ishida gets himself out of that. Both these guys, even though getting lifted and slammed, but looking to move and looking to maneuver. This is a big fight for Ishida because he can revenge the loss that Kawajiri had, his business partner and his training partner, to Gilbert if he wins this fight.
And Ishida was on that same fight card a year ago. As a matter of fact, this is the 4th time that they've been on the same card. The first time that they have met in the ring, but Ishida and Melendez, they know each other well. They've seen each other fight. They've shown up in the same locker room 3 other occasions over here to see big fights.
And they definitely know each other's style and ability. They've seen each other compete quite a bit together. Plus, there's a lot of tape on each guy. This fight is really whose style is just a little bit better today because it's basically mirror images of each other. If you remove the height factor, you know, Ishida, of course, is a little bit slower, but you're seeing how quick. As you take a look here at Jay-Z, who was supposed to fight Aoki later tonight, got hurt and is unable to compete because of his injury.
And we get ready for the second round. 5 minutes it's scheduled for, and here they go. We'll see if Melendez is able maybe to pick up his punching a little bit more, too. And Yoshida right on him.
He knows now that he lost that first 10 minutes. He's got to make it all up now in the last 5 minutes. It's difficult against a guy like Yoshida who's so quick, lowers his level so fast.
Yoshida is probably as fast as anybody Melendez has faced, do you think?
This is the fastest I've seen him because no one else is really this aggressive. And I got to be honest with you, I think Yoshida's one of the fastest guys I've seen.
Yeah, he's incredibly quick.
At least getting to the shot. Not necessarily on his hands for punching power, but definitely getting to the shot.
He's kept Melendez off balance. But he will get his punches in. Good knee by Melendez. His best strike so far. Shoot a piggyback here. Will Melendez slam him again? Not as hard that time as Yoshida was holding on tight.
Gilbert needs to get a little more space. He's got to get up and wants to win this fight. Yoshida just needs to keep doing what he's doing.
Gilbert Melendez has never lost. He's rapidly been moving up the lightweight ranks. That streak in jeopardy now here in the second round.
Three minutes, Gil. Punch. Wait, keep your head. Keep your head front.
So they will be moving back out now to the middle of the ring.
Last one, got this, Gil. Less than 3 minutes, baby. Not letting
What about the ground game here of Melendez against the ultra-quick Yoshida?
It's a good position, but she's doing a great job of holding him down. We can't really see what the ground and pound game against Yoshida would look like.
Yoshida's fought a very determined fight, controlled the tempo much of the way.
Constant motion, constant head motion, hip motion by both fighters. With a lot of position changes. Yoshida now is into control.
Yoshida going for the arm, holding on tight to that left arm. Melendez trying to avoid the submission, and does. Melendez trying to hold on to his unbeaten record.
It's in jeopardy here, I gotta be honest with you. So far, he's been completely dominated, but definitely Yoshida's definitely winning this fight at this point with about a minute and a half left.
Mitsuhiro Yoshida getting those takedowns early in that fight, dictating the tempo of the first round. Gilbert Melendez has not been able to, seems to get on his game, especially in his punching. We heard his corner say double up on those jabs, and he was never able to get in that kind of stand-up.
Both fighters have been in this tight situation before. It's difficult, find what kind of fighter you are when all of a sudden your unbeaten record is coming up on being, finally getting that first loss. What's going to happen to him when it's close and tight?
A minute to go in this fight. Melendez trying to get that arm free, his right arm.
She just desperately holding on to that. Holding on to that, he's not letting it go.
40 seconds.
Ishida probably sensing, if I can just hold on here, I think I've already done enough to win this fight. I can keep Melendez from getting that one big blow or getting into a rhythm of a ground and pound here to close out. Melendez with urgency here in the final seconds of this fight. A flurry by Melendez, but will it be enough to keep him unbeaten against Mitsuhiro Ishida?
Aggressiveness is about the same. You gotta go down takedowns. Obviously, Ishida wins the takedown game. You know, submissions. I think Gil had a little bit more time to put submissions on because he was on the bottom a little bit more, but you know, as you see him finally lowering his level, great knee right into the chin, but then got sucked back in again and was unable to, you know, follow up with more strikes. And then from the bottom position, you can see Ishida working. This is the tightest submission of the game, even though Gilbert had more submission attempts. This is the tightest one, and Gilbert did a great job of getting out of this thing. Most other fighters would have tapped on that. And it passes through, and you can see, you know, different angle, the same thing as he's trying to work his way out of it. It's the front side of it. You know, that arm is fully extended, but Gilbert just shows how tough he is and finally turns his wrist out.
You can see the determination on his face, and then here it is. It's about the last 15 seconds of the fight when he is able to unleash some punches.
He really wanted to get moving, really try to get after it.
Was it enough? The judges have made their decision. Ishida on his way to a unanimous decision. Mitsuhiro Ishida has handed Gilbert Melendez his first career loss.
It's all right, Gilbert shouldn't be hanging his head down at all. It was obviously, he just got beat tonight by a better guy in the takedown game. He's going to go back and fix him. He went hard, he went, you know, and obviously he went as quick as he could and tried to do as much as he could. You have to give it to Ishida. He fought a great fight.
Mitsuhiro Ishida last fought New Year's Eve 2006, here 2007 in Tokyo. He comes back strong.
He's saying thank you very much. It was a very tough fight, very hard fight. Thanking Gilbert for fighting with him. He's gonna go back and practice harder and come back and fight again next year.
Yoshihiro Akiyama with arguably the most dramatic entrance of the night, Frank. And not everyone was screaming his name. We saw some thumbs down and some, I guess, the equivalent of the Bronx cheer here in Tokyo.
But for those of you that are new to the game and don't know Akiyama, last year he had a great battle with Sakuraba on New Year's. And he is a consummate metrosexual. Uses oil of Olay. And there was a greasing incident where he said he had too much grease on his body and caused Sakuraba to lose the fight. And it was a ban for having too much grease. It became a whole thing. It became a really bad situation. So bad, in fact, that his next opponent coming out, Masaki, said he would never fight on the same card as him, let alone fight him. These two gentlemen cannot stand one another. Masaki said, I will never fight this character. When he beat Dennis Kang, Masaki said, yes, I will fight him to shut his mouth.
And here comes Kazuo Misaki. And we take a look now at the tail of the tape. Akiyama and Misaki, as Frank said, a lot on the line here. In addition to these guys getting up in the ropes, they have a few things to say, have said about each other. Misaki comes in 18 wins. Akiyama coming off one of his biggest wins, now at 10-1 in his career. The first round KO of Dennis Kang back in October.
You know, no one thought that he was going to beat Dennis Kang, and Dennis Kang was straight right. Looped him a little bit, put him in the corner, beat him up a little more, got TKO stoppage. Nobody thought he could beat Dennis Kang except for Akiyama. Misaki doesn't think that Akiyama can beat him tonight. Obviously the better striker. Obviously the better, the better guy on paper. But we saw it earlier this evening with Bustamani's fight. So I think this one is going to be another high-action competition. Little Bronx cheer for Akiyama.
178cm, 84.9 キロ、Misaki Kazu!
No doubt who the crowd favorite is. It's a guy wearing the black trunks. Misaki, another guy that's fought a who's who. You look at Philo and Henderson and Kang and Frank Trigg.
February, honestly, probably Friday night, like you said.
Round one underway. That cheer is for Misaki in the black.
We'll find out how Yakima can deal with the entire crowd being against him. He knows in his home country, it's a hostile environment.
Misaki throws him down. Akiyama right back up. Saki as he threatens the leg kick. And Akiyama looks like two flamingos posturing right now.
Misaki keep his hands a little bit lower than normal. Great hand speed, great foot speed. Akiyama just stalking, chasing the Tiger into the corner.
If this fight ends quickly, the next fight, we understand, will be moved up on the card, will be Fedor Emelianenko. So for those of you watching, it would be a good time to call the friend, the relative, the neighbor, and tell them to be sure to tune in that Emelianenko is coming up next. Meanwhile, Misaki and Akiyama getting down to some serious business. A lot of respect here in this first round.
Really, Misaki's got a lot more action, a lot more movement, but none of it's really doing anything. It's just having a lot more action, but he hasn't really done any combinational punch with it. He's missed on any combination he's thrown, other than leg kicks.
Akiyama trying for the combination. It's almost like which guy's going to blink first, isn't it?
Really, there's a lot of dancing around, posturing. Nothing of real significance happening. I do like the fact that Akiyama's staying in the pocket, trying to stay right in there. Keep the pressure on Misaki. It's very difficult to get your rhythm down if guys are pressure.
And again, Akiyama trying to pick up the pace with the punches, not able to do so, but he did make Misaki flinch a bit. Behind us now, who are just cheering and appreciating the fights throughout. Give out a few yells for Misaki. I'm not sure everybody in this arena is rooting for this guy, but it seems that way.
Yeah, it really does. Every time that he kicks, they cheer. Every time he lands a punch, they cheer. And the same doesn't happen for Akiyama. At least that we can hear.
Misaki flashes the jab. Like Frank said, though, Akiyama is right there. Akiyama with the kick.
Good job of staying in the pocket, Akiyama. I mean, it looks like that Misaki's got a lot of action, a lot of motion. He's really not throwing anything. So far in the feed, it's been pretty even. Just two different styles of getting the same result. Akiyama not moving much, just stalking, staying in position, picking his spots. Misaki, a lot of movement, a lot of motion.
Even when Misaki misses, they cheer.
That's all you have to wait on is that one punch. He finally stuck it in. It's the same thing he did to Dennis Kang. Wow. He's got to get space and start to finish this fight off. You don't want Misaki to recover. About 3.5 minutes left in this first round.
And collectively, everyone jumped forward as Akiyama delivered the biggest blow of this fight. Some of the crowd cheering for Misaki here, trying to get him back in this fight, hoping he can get back on his feet.
Great job getting back to guard. Great job getting separation. He's gonna come swinging. Misaki's gonna come swinging now.
Misaki unfazed.
Misaki's one of those fighters that recovers, but he needs to clear his head. He goes more action. He gets his space. He gets his time to recover his head by throwing more punches.
Yoshihiro Akiyama, the biggest punch of this fight. Looked like Misaki might be down and out. He was down briefly, but back up and swinging.
Akiyama doing a good job of staying patient. Most guys in this situation just keep charging in forward and end up getting hit themselves.
Misses with that right, a glancing blow. Misaki almost taunting Akiyama there.
That's a good idea, but just got knocked down.
Oh! There's the left. Misaki gets Akiyama down.
No.
It's over.
No. Wow. Here's my question. Akiyama was on the ground and got kicked in the head. As you see Gono, Misaki's partner, one of his training partners in the white suit. Another great fighter here in Japan, Akiyama Gono.
You're looking, Kazuo Misaki.
8 minutes and 12 seconds into the first round.
Wow. And almost everyone is standing.
Wow. We're still off in the corner. We still have Akiyama still down. I can't see through the crowd yet.
Akiyama KO'd by Misaki. A dramatic end to this anticipated battle here in the first round.
What a great comeback. Wow. He gets knocked down. He recovers after getting knocked down, gets back to his feet, and gets the knockout.
Kazuo Misaki was out of this fight. It appeared early in the round. Knocked down by Akiyama. We talked about it, didn't Frank? He bounced back up as you look at Akiyama back on his feet. But wow, was he ever, he was just drilled by Misaki.
Straight right-handed punch right to the head. Nice light kick right to the face on his way up. Perfect work.
As Misaki addresses the crowd.
お前は去年リングの上でたくさんの人と子供たちを裏切った。俺は絶対に許さない。
Misaki's giving a little talking to, saying you're betraying the kids and the fans with your attitude and how you compete. After my fight with you, Misaki saying, I feel how you compete. I feel please fight for the fans and for the kids instead of for yourself. Of course, by cheering, you can tell that Misaki asked the crowd, what do they think about that? This for me, as a competitor, gets a little awkward. But at this point, if I've lost, I went out of the ring, and if I won, it's time to get out of the ring because I got to go say hi to somebody else.
Well, I was going to ask, and again, it goes back to the whole culture and the history of mixed martial arts and the reverence they have for it here in Japan. There's no place else I can imagine this happening where Akiyama would stand there and listen to the lecture and accepted the criticism.
Misaki being a little nationalistic right now, saying the Japanese fighter is very strong. One of the best fighters.
今日出場してない選手まだまだたくさんいますが今日出場してない選手の代わりに皆さんにお礼を言いたいと思います。プライドを10年間愛してくれたファンの皆さんどうもありがとうございました。
He's just thanking the fans for coming out, supporting him.
And Akiyama,
he said thank to the fans for supporting Pride and for coming out here to support him tonight on December 31st.
And I'll tell you, Akiyama is showing a lot of class as a man who was just pummeled and knocked out to stand there and accept, I guess, the verbal lecture, the little bit of the verbal jabs to close out the night.
Yeah, really, if you just beat me and then you're gonna yell at me too, I got a daddy, you ain't him.
That's right. That's right. Kazuo Misaki with the first round knockout of Akiyama. And this guy could almost stay in the ring all night. The crowd, they love him here. But coming up, the #1 fighter in the world, Fedor Emelianenko, making his return to the ring against Hongman Choi. Glad that you could be with us live for HDNet Fights. Kenny Rice, Frank Trigg, Ron Kruk with you. And let's check in now with Ron.
All right, thanks, Kenny. Gilbert Melendez, obviously not the outcome you had hoped for here on New Year's Eve in Japan. Give us your take on this fight.
You know, I didn't see the fight. You know, I fought tough. I felt like I got a little slow start, you know. I was trying to go for the kill a little bit. I guess him wrestling me kind of frustrated me a little bit. You know, I don't know. I got to see the tape. I felt like I did all right. I felt like I squeezed out the victory. But, you know, you're in Japan, man. You can't leave it in the judges' hands. And, you know, it's a learning experience. I'm pissed off right now. But, you know, I guess I just got to hit the gym and come back and get a win.
Your knees were effective, there's no doubt about that. First round, a huge slam, and then you transitioned into the guillotine choke. How close did you think you had him to finishing this fight?
You know, I didn't think I had him finish in the choke, but, you know, I slammed him pretty hard in his head. I kneed him pretty hard in the face. I don't know, I think he hit me once or twice, you know, like good or something, but, yeah, man, I mean, you know, I thought I did pretty good a couple times, but, you know, I just didn't win.
You hurt your hand at Strikeforce in September. Was that at all a factor tonight?
No, not at all tonight. It's not a factor at all. My hand's fine. I'm cool.
You fought here several times in Japan, New Year's Eve. Talk about the experience.
It's a great experience. I mean, it's disappointing right now for me. You know, it's still an honor to be here. I love fighting in Japan, but you know, it's you got home field advantage. You got home field advantage. I'm sure I would have got that win in the U.S. and you know, he got the win in Japan.
Gilbert, we're sure you'll bounce back. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to thank everyone who you know, supported me. All my sponsors right here: Tap Out, Fairtex, Combative, you know, Cali's Auto Body Shop, Santa Ana, OTM. You know, everybody out there. Thanks for all the love and appreciate it. Bye.
All right, guys, back to you ringside.
All right, thanks, Ron. It looks like Gilbert's handling this well, suffering his first defeat. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about him, and a very smart young man. He always thanks the sponsors, win or lose, obviously.
Right, forgot one. The most important one, forgot Tag Radio.
In the blue corner, from Korea,
The striking figure that is 7'2" Hungman Choi. And his approach to this all business-like. He has never once hinted, of course, and really hasn't even said anything, tried to make anything public in the press around here about, you know, this isn't a sideshow for him. This isn't, he easily steps over the ropes. You know, he's hoping to pull the upset. This is a business for him tonight to prove himself.
And he's the one guy that can probably do it just because of size and mass alone.
And now the man, the myth, the legend, the #1 fighter, Fedor. Well, this is it. Fedor Emelianenko, who has won 7 straight since a no contest. 26-1. And can this man pull the upset? Hungman Choi.
He's got the size, he's got the mass. Probably not, though. If anybody knows my history of picking winners for MMA fights, knows I'm not very good, but I feel pretty confident with this one, even because of the size difference.
No kick, no knees. Okay? No knees, okay?
As you can see it here, look at the difference in these guys. I'm a little nervous. I might be getting in the ring.
Matt Lindland, the last man to go in against Fedor, told us in Portland last week he thinks it's going to be a first-round decision, one way or the other for Fedor. Most everyone else picking it as Fedor shoots in on the big man. And Choi takes him down. Fedor giving up about 130 pounds here.
237 to 366, Ken. That's a huge difference. I don't care who you are.
And look at the arm of Choi. It engulfs the head of Emelianenko.
You can see the head difference, too, the size and the difference it has. Look how small Fedor looks underneath him. As if Choi's working with his little brother. He's got it.
Fedor going for the armbar.
He's got it.
Going for the armbar. Choi pulls loose.
I can't believe he got out of that. That was tight. I thought it was over. Look how tight that armbar was.
Fedor perhaps a little impressed himself there by Choi. Showing some redness around the face. And you can see there the welts taking a couple of good licks from Hungman Choi.
He's trying to do a sambo trip. He can't do it because he's just so big.
And Choi again on top.
See how patient Caleb can be. He's going to go back and forehead. Every punch is huge. Even the peppery shots by Choi are going to be huge punches because of his size.
And you can see this. Look at the mammoth fist here of Hungman Choi. Again, Fedor going for
That's it. He got it. He got it.
He's got it. Fedor does it. Fedor Emelianenko.
Wow. Everyone can breathe a sigh of relief now because that was a little close one. You don't understand how big Choi is. If he could have got a couple punches off, this fight would have been done.
Here's how it happened.
Look at this armbar, the extension on it. Fedor's completely locked out. For those of you that practice in jiu-jitsu, getting to this position is very difficult on a man your own size, let alone somebody of Hungman Choi's size. Because look, once Fedor gets it in, his knee is by his head. He's already tapping, but he extends out. He's fully extended. You can see the elbow poking through the bottom of Fedor's torso. His arm is longer than Fedor's torso. It's really hard to submit a guy to that length.
An interesting choice of opponent. The same result, so Fedor Emelianenko, another victory. And Hungman Choi, he got a few punches in. He landed a couple of solid blows early on. You see some redness around the face of Emelianenko, who patiently waited and grabbed a hold of one of those arms. Frank, that's about like getting a small tree trunk trying to submit it.
You know, Hungman Choi, what I expected. You know, anytime the Fedor tried to take him down, he couldn't do anything with him. He couldn't sweep him over. He was just too big. You know, it's difficult. You see Jean-Claude Van Damme and Fedor hugging in the corner there. it's just difficult to move a guy with that mass around, and you have to be technically, you have to be correct. You know, obviously Fedor was technically correct, got that arm bar, was able to finish it.
Я рад снова выступать здесь.
また日本でこうやって試合できてとても嬉しいです。
Для вас, ради вас.
皆さんのために試合しました。
Я обещаю, что буду впредь приезжать к вам и постоянно выступать. Здесь вы меня полюбили больше всех, больше, чем в какой-либо стране, кроме моей, конечно.
これからも日本に来て試合を続けることを約束します。日本の皆さんにこうやって愛され続けていて、日本という国が一番私のことを好きでいます。
I promise you that I'm going to fight in Japan again. You can obviously tell by the crowd response.
В моей стране, моей великой стране. И я рад, что сегодня я сделал небольшой праздник для своих земляков, для россиян.
この試合が私の祖国ロシアでも中継されることを知っています。私の祖国の国民たちも大きな祝日となってくれることを願っています。
Все мои победы для вас. Дома не готовы за нас.
私の勝利は皆さんのためにあります。ありがとうございます。
This fight is being shown in his home country of Russia too. He's happy to be fighting in front of the Russian crowd, his Russian fans as well. It's on free TV in Russia at the same time.
Well, I don't know if it could officially be New Year's in Japan if Fedor doesn't show up. This is his 5th straight New Year's Eve fight, and of course his 5th straight New Year's Eve victory here in Japan.
He will obviously have to retire,
yeah,
to be able to not to fight on New Year's Eve in Japan.
And just an hour away from 2008 here in Tokyo, Fedor ringing in the new year early with his first round armbar submission of Hongman Choi to run his record to 27-1.
You see a little bit of the damage done to his face right there, and it was only probably about 5 or 6 punches that connected.
Yeah, massive fist of Choi. Even a glancing blow covers about half the face of Fedor, but waited, didn't get the armbar in the first time, got it the second time, and in classic Emelianenko fashion, he wrapped it all up.
This is a huge thing for HNet Fights to have this, the #1 fight in the world on at night, first thing, live. You know, I know it's early for a lot of the guys. You know, especially for the Pacific Coast guys, where I live in Las Vegas, Pacific Coast time zone. The wife had to stay up all night to watch. Not so bad on the East Coast, but still, you know, to have him on HNet, a live show is great.
As you look at Fedor, and for all those watching back in the U.S. on HDNet, an early Happy New Year. Still a few hours to go to celebrate 2008 there. But what a way to ring it in here with Fedor Emelianenko. He wasn't the bigger man, but he is certainly the giant of MMA, Emelianenko.
Great hip motion, great extension. Obviously,
I mean,
his
that's textbook, isn't it, Frank?
That's day one you learn about an armbar. It's exactly how it needs to be done, and that's obviously Fedor's best submission position. He does it all the time,
and as popular as any fighter here in Japan is the Russian Fedor Emelianenko. And that's one of the reasons. As you see, you figure if the guy had time, he would probably shake hands with all 20-some thousand here. He's very accessible to the fans here in Japan when he shows up.
Well, when you see his opening here in Japan, and you see how they portray him in the media and how they portray him in the articles and in the press, you realize they're trying to make him a cold, heartless machine. And so if you're not familiar with him and don't come to the fights live and don't see him all the time, you're like, oh, he's another Russian, cold, heartless machine. Like all of his opening has got snow in it, It's got icicles in the background. You're like, oh, this guy, you know, but then you get to talk to him, which I'm privileged to do from working with Pride in the past and then working here tonight with HDNet. I actually get to see him as he really is with his wife, his daughter, and his friends and family. And he's just a normal cat that just loves to fight because that's what he's good at.
Let's go back now to Ron Kruk, who's standing by with the champ. Ron?
Congratulations on this huge win, Fedor Emelianenko. It seemed you were willing to eat a couple of punches, wait for your opportunity for the armbar. Tell us how you finished this fight.
Во-первых, поздравляю с этой огромной победой. Мне показалось, что вы ждали, вы готовы были принимать от него несколько ударов, и потом вот ждали момент, когда можно захватить и идти на удушающее. Не удушающее, вот да.
Да, действительно, все было так. Я хотел даже в стойке немножко быть поактивнее, но Хон Манчой ждал. Я хотел в атаке и от нее работать.
Yes, exactly like that. I was ready also for the fight in standing, but he didn't want to fight in standing, and it just turned out that way.
You sustained a couple of cuts. Is that from just the sheer massive hands and gloves of Hung Man Choi?
You mean this? Вот эти все вот эти пятна, это от массивных ударов от Хон Ман Чой. Всего лишь несколько получилось.
Нет, если честно, я совсем не чувствовал удара и удивляюсь, откуда такие повреждения на моем лице.
In fact, I didn't feel any big hits, but so I was now surprised to see that all these bruises in my face.
Мне кажется, я сильно тиранулся об ковер, об татами, ну, об покрытие ринга. Сильно тиранулся.
Fedor, huge win tonight on New Year's Eve in Japan. As one of the last Pride fighting champions, what does it mean to you to win here in Tokyo once again on New Year's Eve?
Вот эта огромная победа, вот снова приехали сюда, как последний чемпион Прайда, и вот снова имели такую огромную победу прекрасную. Что это значит для вас?
Ну, я приехал не на последний Прайд, я приехал на первые соревнования M1 Global. И очень рад, что этот старт произошел очень успешно.
I didn't come here as the last Pride champion. I came here for the M1 Global's first championship, and so I'm really glad that it turned out this way. That I finished with my victory.
Final question, and then the New Year's Eve party can get started. What's next for you? When can MMA fans expect you to fight again?
Ну, теперь может начать новогоднее гуляние, а после этого какие планы в будущем?
Выступать, драться. Сейчас, да, я обещал Шиноди-сан, что мы с ним немножко выпьем. А так, да, выступать у меня на следующий год 3-4 боя.
Just keep fighting, just keep participating in good fights, and I just promised with my friend Shinoda-san to have a New Year's drink, and after that we will start thinking about our victory plan.
No opponent in the future?
Оппонент ожидается уже конкретный?
Я не знаю, это мне скажут руководители M1 Global.
I don't know it for yet. The M1 Global's leader will tell me later, probably.
Happy New Year, Fedor. Enjoy this victory.
Happy New Year, my friends.
All right, guys. Fedor Emelianenko, back to you, ringside.
Thanks, Ron. I'm going to take a bet here that Fedor would not have to buy a drink or a morsel of food in this town any New Year's Eve.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I've ever seen him buy a drink ever. And rightly so. He's definitely brought a lot of branding, a lot of names to the fight game. He's made a lot of fans. Come on, just started paying attention to MMA just because of Fedor's presence here in Russia and here in Japan.
Exactly. Fedor Emelianenko continues to be the story. And with his first round armbar submission of Choi tonight. But the night is not over. Still a couple more fights here. As we get ready for Hasegawa and Sakurai.
桜井マッハ隼人選手の入場です。
Interesting matchup. Sambo
Yeah, we don't want to make it out
wrestling.
like it's almost like the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
They have a race after the Kentucky Derby for the crowd that kind of lingers around Churchill Downs after the greatest race in the world's run.
This is, you gotta remember, Sakurai is probably one of my favorite fighters. And honestly, like I said before, it was my first loss. But we became friends after through Matt Hume, who trains him up in Seattle. Sakurai lives here in Japan, but comes to Seattle for his major training. And Matt Hume, one of the judges, one of the rules makers here in Japan, and one of my friends as well, got me and Sakurai together. And one of the best guys to really watch fight, all-around fighter, true all-around fighter Sakurai is, where Hasegawa, the press here locally in Japan, said, hey, I have 2,000 sambo techniques. I'm going to beat him at. Sakurai said, hey, we can make this a judo match. We can make this a sambo match. We can make it a fight. Makes no difference because I got 2,000 MMA tactics that I use. So all your sambo things won't work on me. And Sakurai is determined to beat this guy on New Year's Eve and prove how much better his all-around game is in his academy, in his gym, than Hasegawa's is.
Hayato Sakurai, ranked among the tops in the world in his weight class. He has some standout wins over the likes of Jens Pulver and Frank, as you mentioned, and Joachim Hansen. Some of his losses to Anderson Silva and to Matt Hughes. He's won 7 of his last 8.
Don't forget the common theme we have. He also lost to
Gomi. On New Year's Eve 2 years ago here. And again, Gomi surfaces when we talk about a great fighter and a loss that he has suffered. Hidehiko Hasegawa, 14 wins, none of them by knockout, 6 by way of submission, 8 by decision. He's won 1 and 1 in his last 3 fights, all the way across. A win, a loss, and a draw.
Judge, ready, go!
Round 1 underway. Sakurai in the black.
Well, Hasegawa's throwing a better hand game. There it is. Sakurai's famous for his incredible kicks.
The crowd cheers everyone.
Inside the arm. Left arm inside. There you go.
Sakurai now getting a couple of good shots in.
Nice posturing, getting up to get out of the submission position.
Let him stand up.
A real difference in the fighting styles here in their last 3 fights. Sakurai with 3 knockouts. In 3 fights, he's only gone in 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Counter that, Hasegawa, in his last 3 fights, we talked about a win, a loss, and draw. He spent almost 45 minutes in the ring, so a third of the time Sakurai has been in the ring his last 3 fights, and he has 3 victories against no defeats.
1-10-2.
Sakurai surprised you because his hip motion for his punching and his leg kicks are the same. So you get tired of getting kicked, and you finally have had enough of this, and all of a sudden he throws a punch at you, and that's what knocks you out.
Sakurai with the takedown.
Sometimes it takes Sakurai a little bit to get moving. early moments in the round, he always starts off a little bit slow, and when he picks up the pace, it gets devilish. It's really hard to slow him down and keep him under control. Beat Sakurai, you got to beat him early if you want to do anything to him.
Hasegawa, I'm surprised there early throwing some punches, wasn't he?
Yeah, it landed.
It landed, yeah. As again, you said, he's never had a knockout in any of his victories. More of a man who's content to stay on the ground or go the distance. Sakurai, yeah, get it back up. That's what he
Great leg grab at Hasegawa. Sakurai's in the middle of a knee. Great defense, jeez. Sakurai's trying to throw a knee in, and Hasegawa grabbed a hold of that leg.
Look at some blood coming out of the nose now, Sakurai. Nose blew that up. That had wicked intentions, didn't it? That up shot. Now Sakurai trying to get in the ground and pound.
Hasegawa's doing a great job of confusing Sakurai, keeping him. He's throwing big punches, and all of a sudden he steps in for a takedown. As soon as he hit the ground, ties him up. Sakurai can't get to his ground pound because he's too busy trying to get his head back up.
Hasegawa changed his strategy a little bit to have Sakurai off balance.
You need to with a guy like Sakurai because he is so devastating with his hands.
Like you said, we saw him actually throw punches earlier. That's not his style usually from track record. There's a good punch by Sakurai. And Sakurai trying for the combination. Sakurai again, that uppercut, you know if it lands, it's going to deck him.
Sweep, sweep, sweep. Sweep. Sweep, he's like, sweep, sweep, and he's like.
Sakurai with the takedown.
Matt Humes in his one of the best trainers, trained for Josh Burnett for a long time. A bunch of other fighters as well, especially as well as Sakurai. He was telling Sakurai to get the sweep, get the takedown because it scores the judgment. And that maybe later, if this fight goes the distance, which is possible with Hasegawa being the opponent, that it could go the distance. You have to make sure you win every portion of the fight.
You also wonder along those lines, Frank, if it continues to go on, because Sakurai has won these 3 straight by way of knockout, and he's made fast work of his opponents. If it gets in his head a little bit, this guy's still staying in there with him.
It can, especially guys used to getting finishes. And that's one of the things we were saying about Fedor, that he finishes some of his fights early. Fedor would have a problem if fights started going the distance, and he proved us wrong with a couple of his fights with Fedor. And then we started saying the same thing about Gomi, what would happen if we got thrown on the ground, and we saw him get submitted twice, and he's trying to fix that problem now too. Gomi is with Sakurai, the same kind of guy that he's been in these hard, tough decisions, long matches before.
Keep the arm, keep the arm, keep the arm. Punch. Keep the arm, keep the arm.
Now Sakurai once again trying to see if maybe some ground and pound against Hasegawa.
One of the things this ground and pound is like to see more. The top guy's got to get his head up, posture up, get his handspring, start weighing him down. If he's content to lay on a guy, the fight's going to go on forever. I mean, you're not going to get a position, especially in MMA, that he'll be able to finish the fight.
Nice knee there by Hasegawa. Sakurai Sakurai seems to be content right now with the way the fight's going. Certainly not trying to push anything.
Yeah, he really does not accelerate. You don't see much desperation on either guy. Hasegawa really is picking up the pace, but he's not throwing desperately yet.
Hasegawa seems to be, I don't know, he seems to be kind of reaching it a little bit more. He's not as crisp as he was in the early going. Of course, again, he's had to try to defend Sakurai now for the better part of this round.
Well, let's not forget either, there's only about 2:45 left in this round out of 10 minutes, so that makes it a little, fatigue is becoming a factor now as well.
Hasegawa just kind of reaching out there, swinging.
This is one of those straight punches that we always talk about with my boxing trainers, Ron Fraser and Chris Bann. It's time to start throwing straight punches because a lot of guys who get tired reach. And if that reach is out, they can't defend, so start throwing straight punches on the fight to put them down. Sakurai traditionally does that, but it hasn't been doing it tonight, which is why we're still on our feet.
Wow, that was a solid knee, wasn't it? As he sprawls out and then delivers a knee to the head of Hasegawa. Rather methodical first round here that Sakurai is controlling. And they'll move out to the center of the ring, get repositioned there, pick it up. Kind of get the sense, too, the crowd is appreciative as they are after the Fedor fight and some of the other fights they've seen. They're wanting to see something, throw a punch. They appreciate the ground game, but I think they want to see Sakurai, see if he can get into some kind of ground and pound action.
Well, it's not only that, but the fans here appreciate the movement and the changing of positions. And when you're just laying on a guy, not trying to do anything, they get frustrated just like any other fans. You want to see action, which is why Machida and Melendez is such a great fight because they never stop moving. Even though they're in the same positions, they just never quit moving.
Sakurai now flies in with a knee. Decent exchange there between the two. Sakurai now. This round is winding down. Just around 30 seconds to go. Getting a few extra shots in. Well, Sakurai will not make his usual quick work of the opponent as he has his last 3 fights.
It's difficult too because I got to be honest with you, Hasegawa is content to hold on and pull him down, and it's not so much that Sakurai's not doing it, it's Hasegawa's not letting him do it.
Push forward, push forward.
Final seconds of round 1. So Hasegawa probably feels pretty good. You see some redness around the face there for some strikes, but he never let the fight get out of hand there, certainly. And of course, earlier tonight, just a few minutes ago, you saw it live here on HDNet, the return of Fedor to the ring. And Fedor Emelianenko continues his winning ways against the 7-2 kickboxing specialist, Hungman Choi, as Fedor was able to get a first-round armbar submission to pick up his 27th win and do it in typical Fedor fashion. Get ready for round 2. You see Hidehiko Hasegawa. Who fought a very Kind of deliberate, but one of those, you know, again, like a good curveball pitcher. Always got the batter out in front of it. Wait there, you're not a baseball fan, so let's go to the basketball team that plays the slow down game. And in this case, Hayato Sakurai not able to get to his running game, not able to get that quicker tempo going there in that first round.
Not a fan of basketball either. Hockey?
Yeah, hockey, how about that? How about hockey? You know, Sakurai couldn't get into a power play. Wasn't able to keep things around the blue line. Hasegawa coming out surprisingly again, throwing some punches here in this round like he did in the first.
Throwing a lot of punches, but not really landing much with any kind of effectiveness.
Sakurai kind of in the same position here, Frank, in the second round. Trying to find that groove, trying to get into some rhythm, perhaps.
And the problem is the rhythm that he's stuck into right now is keeping him in this position where he's just not content, but in a position where Hasegawa can kind of control the pace of the fight, even though it's from the bottom.
Now Hasegawa slowly to get back up on his feet, but there he is. Sakurai, of his 8 career knockouts, 3 have come in his last 3 fights. Now he's picking up the pace. Now he's getting those punches in better. Much more effective with his strikes.
Good takedown sweep. No effectiveness because we were close enough to finish it. So he's winning a takedown game, obviously.
And Hasegawa again trying to move in with some punches, but like you said earlier, Frank, I mean, they're there. Certainly not a lot of zip to them. They're not doing any damage.
Hasegawa's picked up the pace of the fight, trying to win it by being aggressive, but it's not, you know, he's getting countered in every position. Sakurai is just that much better than him, but Sakurai also himself can't get to a finishing position either.
See Sakurai working here on the side. Hasegawa is going to give his back. Got 2 minutes to go in this fight. Hasegawa there with the open palm. Sakurai, it appears to have no effect on it. Now he's trying to, can he try to work a triangle in? Something, get something going here.
That kind of guard, when the guys bang in the back of the head, they're trying to get them to lift their head up. You know, the blocker, you need your face out of the way to get the arm caught. Sakurai's just too smart for that. Spent a lot of time fighting.
Stand up, stand up. Stand up, up.
Now Sakurai stems up and out of that armbar attempt by Hasegawa. Coming up on a minute to go in this fight.
Wow, that punch to his chest would have knocked him out if it hit him in the chin.
That was his best punch of the night, wasn't it?
Jeez.
Hasegawa down again.
About 30 seconds left in this round before the end of the fight.
Sakurai Appears to have done enough to pick up another victory, his 31st. This won't necessarily be one for the highlight reel. Final seconds of the fight. Hayato Sakurai, did he do enough to pick up his 31st win?
I think Sakurai won this fight decisively. It's going to be three rounds. Hasegawa really didn't have anything for him. Every time he got aggressive, he got stopped, and that was the only thing he could have really done. There's no submission attempts or striking of any sort on his end.
As talked about earlier, Hasegawa, whatever punches he had, even when he tried combinations, they did no damage.
Exactly. But that's frustrating too as a fighter. You're trying your best stuff and it's not working. See a good Uchimata judo throw. Steps through Sakurai, but he lands in a position where, you know, Hasegawa can hold him down and stop him from doing anything else.
Sakurai, it would appear, on his way to his 8th win in his last 9 fights. The judges have made their decision.
Judge Kobayashi, Sakurai. Judge Kobayashi, Sakurai. Judge Miyake, Sakurai. Yute, Shusha, Sakurai Maha, Hayato.
Well, that was kind of an easy call, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sakurai all the way around.
I still don't like ever having a fight go to the judge's decision. It's always better to stop that from happening. Always finish it in the ring, so there's no, you can't, that way you can't ever complain about the judges giving you the wrong decision.
Hayato Sakurai now 31-7-2. And a young judo star making his MMA debut from South Korea, Bu-Kyung, gold medal winner in the World Cup of 04 in judo, silver medalist in judo at the 2000 Olympics. And Bu-Kyung coming out now for his MMA debut. Wow, what a night to do it, huh? Packed house here in Japan, Fedor, the headliner, and you're coming out for your first fight. Everybody's going to know right away how it's going.
Well, here's the other thing, because Fedor's fight got moved up, because they were doing a live TV feed to Russia and a live TV feed here in Japan on free TV. They had to move Fedor's fight up for timing reasons. Not only is this his first fight, he's now the last fight on the night, which makes him the main event.
Right.
Don't add any pressure to the kid.
Yeah.
Here's 20,000 fans gonna be watching you in your first event, and you're not the last fight of the night, so everyone wants to leave here happy, so you better put on a good show.
That's right.
Good luck with that. Go out.
And all that on top of fighting Shinya Aoki.
Which is probably one of the worst draws you can get at 155.
You talk about jumping straight into the frying pan here tonight. The fire is already turned up for young Bu-Kyung.
He does train with Hungman Choi. He's from the same camp. Obviously, they're not training partners, though, because of the size difference, but they are from the same camp. So this is, I'm sure, one of the reasons why he's on this card tonight is the same corners used for both camps. And that, although I'm sure he wasn't prepared to go as late as he is, he thought he'd be going a little bit earlier, but the Fedor fight did get moved, and that puts him out in the last fight of the evening. Let's see how he does with the stress and the pressure.
Here comes Bu-Kyung, stepping into the ring for the first time as an MMA pro.
赤コーナーより青木真也選手の入場です。
Shinya Aoki, as we take a look at the tail of the tape. And obviously what really jumps out here is that Aoki is the younger fighter in terms of years, but much more seasoned in the ring. An 11-2 record. He has won 8 straight. And Bu-Kyung has his hands full, as Frank and I were talking about earlier, closing out this big night of fighting, making his pro debut against a guy who is one of the top lightweights in the country, in the world. And there's who Aoki was going to be fighting prior to the injury. We talked about Jay-Z earlier being here.
Jay-Z in a great fight. That would have been an amazing fight. Aoki loves wearing the long pants to fight in. Gives him better traction because he's a tremendous armbar triangle. There's an armbar triangle, Umaplata combo that he loves to use, and then with the long pants on, it helps out with that. Of course, over here in Japan, it's legal.
Flashing the front kick early. You wonder, even with all the, I mean, to be in the Olympics, to be in the World Cup like Bu-Kyung has, to jump right in here like this, how is he going to handle this now, first time on the mat?
Especially with a guy like Aoki on top of you. Wow, look at the armbar. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's tight too. Well, Aoki's done a good job. He's real flexible. You can see the elbows turned out. Yeah. He's got it pinned off on his armpits. It's going to be a tough job getting out of this.
Anticipation of the crowd.
He curls his left leg back around his head and might be able to finish his off. He's got his leg straight. He's going to get way out.
What a about the youngster early on here?
Those are the new to submission. That was a huge battle trying to get out of that. For me, get out of that position. Incredible. Incredibly flexible.
Bu-Kyung coming out and giving everything he had here in the early going.
Looking for a heel, or Achilles lock right here.
He's pulling tight. Trying to cap off this night with a first round submission. Not yet. Pulling away from the ropes, he'll want it and let go of the ropes. You may want to hang on, but you can't.
Probably the best defense against Aoki's grabbing him, right?
Aoki, the crowd will cheer on with each punch. Not going to let a youngster come in here and ruin this evening for him. He's not going to let him spoil his new year, even if he has to drag him out to the middle of the ring and throw some punches. Oh, wow, that was a solid shot.
What great head punch, jeez. Man, like I said, you gotta be careful with this kind of head punch. That's, you have to get hit 4 times with each one of those.
And again, you see the official warning there, the young Bu-Kyung, let go of the ropes. Aoki hoping to make a short work here of the newcomer, as we're about 15 minutes away from 2008 here in Tokyo.
Aoki tends to have great positions, beating the guy up with his hands, and then sits back for a submission that he may or may not get because of the position he's dropping back into. These heel hooks and these foot locks take you away from your striking position. Because I think there's the last thing that won't be a was to get back up on his feet.
Nah, yeah, Jump Bu-Kyung, I think he would have been happy just to stay there. They're going to restart him out in the middle of the ring. I thought they were standing him back up. So did I. I was hoping they were, actually. I think most everyone here was. It's like you say, Aoki may get his punches going and want to go to the ground then anyway. And here, Aoki now with the hammer, trying to put the hammer down and wrap up this night.
A lot of action, a lot of work. Didn't do much damage.
Tired trying to work on the feet. Now he moves back up. Aoki got out of every avoided an armbar attempt earlier. See, we're about halfway through this first round.
It's the first time I've ever seen Aoki in any kind of submission position that he wasn't putting on.
Aoki got himself out of trouble early. Looked like he was getting back in control, and I mean, he's controlling the pace here. And it's been kind of like everything's about a half a step out of rhythm for him right now. Look at this.
Well, that's a tight position. He's got good judo game on top to go try to finish this submission.
Jung Bu-Kyung, who's making his pro debut. Great judo background against the seasoned Aoki.
Aoki's doing a great job of keeping his hands locked up so he can't get extended. Oh, wow. I've never seen that defense before ever, where you literally let go and rotate your shoulder and your elbow around to pull the arm out.
What about the appreciation from this capacity crowd here at the Saitama Sports Arena, the Super Arena? That it's been tonight for MMA Action Live here on HDNet.
It's the second time he's been caught in that position. Aoki, I wonder if he's going to learn now that he can get caught. Even though he's got great defense, you don't want to take that risk for 3 times. I wouldn't think.
Aoki landed a couple of solid punches here in this first round. We approach the 3-minute mark. I tell you, the young man from South Korea, though, not been very rattled here, has he, in his pro debut?
Well, obviously, being in the Olympics, been to World Championships a couple times, sets you up for, especially when you come from the Asian market, playing judo. Obviously, Japan is the best in the world traditionally. When you Asian Championships over here in judo, it's huge. It's packed like this for the Asian Championships in judo. You have 20,000 fans. That's a huge amount of people. Watch you compete, so hopefully that transfer, it looks like, because he's not panicking by any means.
No. As they take a look there in Bu-Kyung's corner. Check a little bit on the eye area there. He's blinking, but he comes back out, and we resume. Like there's swelling there on that left eye, Frank.
I think he got poked in it.
Yeah, he can't even keep it open right now. Oh, gee, oh, wow. What a right.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Aoki dropped because he got hit or if he immediately dropped to go to a submission.
I don't know. Maybe he did drop now. At first it looked like Bu-Kyung had tagged him pretty well.
That was a strong right hand right in the chin.
And it may work out now for Aoki. We'll see what he can do. Aoki, who really got into jiu-jitsu when he was in college. And he'll come back up on his feet. 2 minutes to go in this first round.
You see a difference now in, as he gets tagged, I say Jung's position, he felt confident stepping in and out with the hands. Because he dropped Aoki a little bit.
Aoki got a good shot in there. Now he's back on the ground, though. Bu-Kyung hanging in tough here in his pro debut. Against the guy who's won 8 straight. Minute to go here. Bu-Kyung wondered how he would handle the pressure. So far, so good for him. He's stayed right in there against Aoki. I get the feeling, Frank, that Aoki is just going to end this immediately. You feel it. Sometime he's going to punch the guy. He's going to get a submission. Something's going to happen. Hasn't yet, but there's still always that sense here that Aoki's always a move away from win.
He's been that guy always in his fight. It's close. It's going to happen at some point, and all of a sudden he slaps the submission on, it's over. He smashed that right on you, and it's over.
Well, they will move on as this round comes to an end.
Great first round, a lot of action, and we saw it's the two best submission attempts by Bu-Kyung, and you would assume it would be from Aoki, and he almost caught him both times.
Jumbo Kwang, who has that judo experience, and here it is. I mean, Aoki faced the pressure very early in this round.
And he got his way through. You can see him snap out. Immediately gets his arms free. He starts to counter, rolls over, makes his move to get to his feet. I mean, it's great. There, he slips it out, keeps his arm bent. I've never seen that defense before, ever, and then I must work only for him, because I don't think I'd be able to do it, probably blow my elbow out, because I'm inflexible, opposed to Aoki's flexibility. Great swing pass is what they call it. You grab both feet and you swing them by, overhand right to the head. Aoki's improving his hand game. Before we've been picking on him as commentators and broadcasters, specifically me. I've been picking on him because he's a submission guy with no hand game, which isn't going to work very well at the lightweight division with the many guys there are that are so good. Well, he's getting better with his hand game now. He's getting more confidence, actually throwing punches out there, and he's able to take a punch, which is important.
Second out. Seconds out, please. Seconds out. Seconds out, please.
As we get ready for round two. See, that left eye is shut. Jumbo Kwang poked in that eye, and it is shut. That left eye of his.
There's a lot of swelling around it, too, so he had to get hit in at some point. All I saw was the poke. That's why he went to the corner, but at some point he had to get hit in that thing. You're right, it is swelled up enough where he can't open it at all.
Yeah, that's a full-blown mouse he's got there. That's all over his eye. He can't.
That's going to be hard because on the left side of his body, he can't see anything coming around. In this case, it's Aoki's hook.
I wonder if Aoki, you figure he's noticed that. That's why I was wondering if he would start out early and try to work that side. Shooting in, Aoki now on top. What's Aoki going to do? Yeah, I wonder if when those punches might start coming to that left side. Bo Kwang, if his eyes swollen shut.
He can spend a lot of energy to get to this pass. And he's sitting here trying to cinch things up. He looks like he's moving for an arm bar, but he has that far arm hook.
Aoki using a lot of energy here.
Almost got the full mount, almost all in there. Oh, he does have it. He has leg lock there.
Yeah, there he is. Aoki. Now he looked like maybe he got poked in his right eye or got a punch in his right eye. It looked like he was blinking himself there.
Because Aoki's hips and his flexibility, it's hard. He can't move right now. Jung is caught on the bottom. He can't move his hips, can't move his legs. He basically only has his upper torso, which is not going to get him out of his mount position, so we have to sit here and take punishment.
Well, Bu-Kyung, I guess, a nice learning experience here in his pro debut, and certainly he's hung in there against a guy who's would be a tough test even for a guy with 8 or 9 fights under his belt.
You know, really, at this point, Aoki, the only thing is winning is the takedown.
Yeah.
He's really not winning control. He's not winning submission attempts. He's not winning submission defense. You know, this fight still is pretty close. Like if we have about 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes left in this fight, if he can get off the bottom, get a little flurry going, a good 45-second flurry, he can win this fight still. But Yuji Shimada's the ref, who's the official, the third guy in there fighting tonight. If he can get some movement out of this.
Here he goes now, Aoki. Just a point of emphasis in the full mount as most of those punches are being shielded, but certainly rattling Bu-Kyung here in this final round.
I was saying before that flurry, if he doesn't move, usually he'll bring him back on the feet, but if he doesn't move now, usually he'll stop the fight altogether.
He's covering up. He's got no defense for this now.
Outside of Big John McCarthy, honestly, Yuji Shimada is one of the best refs. You know, those are the top two for me. I've had both ref me and watch their fights.
A minute to go. Aoki continues with the punishment here. Some solid blows being thrown in there. You wonder now, is he going to work on, I think I'll work on my submission game. I'll try the rear naked choke while I'm here.
This is what he wants to be, this position.
Jung Bu-Kyung.
Armbar coming.
Trying to hold off here and at least go the distance in his first pro fight.
Let's see if he can make the distance.
Now under 10 seconds to go, he is going the distance against a solid fighter in Aoki. And that's the end of the fight.
Yeah, this fight's very close. How the judging over here? This fight, it's still pretty. Now, of course, you know, Aoki won the last 3 minutes of the second round. That doesn't mean he won the round. Because remember, they're going to judge the entire 15 minutes together. You got to be careful. He could lose this still.
As we look at some of the action. And yeah, you're right, Frank. Aoki. I mean, this is, I think it's going to be his 12th career win, but this is one that he's not going to look back on and go, wow, I want to keep repeating that performance. See what the judges say.
Judge Adachi, Aoki. Judge Ohashi, Aoki. Judge Mato, Aoki. Yotte, Shusha, Aoki Shia.
Aoki picks up his 9th straight victory. Jung Bu-Kyung, the young Olympian, a silver medalist in judo there. The solid effort on a huge stage for his pro debut.
Not bad jumping into the top 5 guys. Your first fight, going the distance with him. A submission guy. I believe he got the better strikes.
Yeah. Had
the 2 better submission attempts.
Yeah, he did.
Solid locked-in submission attempts, and just got overwhelmed and didn't have good ring sense, good mat sense. And as a result, gets the loss in his first fight.
What a night it has been here in Tokyo. We're glad that you could be with us live. A night highlighted, of course, by the return of Fedor Emelianenko, who wins in the first round an armbar submission of Hung Man Choi. We have some people we want to thank that have done a great job for everything to make this happen for us tonight in Tokyo. And then we're going to stay around because it's approaching midnight here in Japan. And we'll ring in the new year for you here and everybody back home. Happy New Year, coming up in about another 12 hours or so for you all. You've been watching HDNet Fights. Fedor returns live from Tokyo, Japan. The executive producer of HDNet Sports and producer of today's broadcast has been Daryl Ewald. Tokyo Engineering by Jeff Carmen. Tokyo Field Production by Jim Van Vranken and Kevin Sanchez. Our integration has been directed by Jason Vaughn. Features produced and edited by Bo Vanserkum. Graphic and video playback produced by John Galpin. Graphics coordinator Ruben Jimenez. Remote engineer Jeff Miette. Broadcast center Glenn Moore, David Williams, Chris Note, and Brian Parker. The broadcast center engineering by Tim Keathley. The senior engineer of HDNet is Glenn Valenta. The CEO of HDNet Fights, Andrew Simon. And we thank you again for being with us. We look forward to more MMA action coming up on HDNet Fights in 2008. For Darryl Ewald, all of our great crew again, Ron Krug, Frank Trigg, Kenny Rice here saying Happy New Year, and see you.